The human hand, the ultimate biomechanical tool. We design mice for the hands of the best. Hundreds of tests, thousands of metrics, refining every curve in every millimeter to provide breakthrough performance for every hand and every player. Introducing the Pro X Super Light 2, compact, designed with pros, engineered to win.
We are gaming fanatics. Our goal has never been to just play games. We think it's much better to feel like you're actually
Hi, I'm Jano Jada. I currently race GT3 in Australia. It's a cool brand. The socks and the gloves are quite cool, and it's good to use on the sim. High quality materials, and most importantly, comfortable. Quite cool to feel all the bits doing their job, and that's good.
On a day where rain played a huge factor just 7 days ago, the question then for those who try and make it is, how good are your weather boots? This a circuit that long lives in the memory of many a racing driver back from what happened in 1994. This is the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Edino Ferrari, and your Logitech G Pro Invitational now just has 2 automatic chances remaining. It is so simple. Top 16 in points or win, and you are in. Welcome to the party and welcome to the conversation. I'm Jake Sperry. That is the Sandman Stephen Clark, who's alongside with me. Jay Kennedy, the Hall of Famer, in production for this one today. And Sandman, this one is quite simple to talk about. This used to hold the San Marino Grand Prix. I think Marine is the best understanding for it tonight.
G'day, Jake. G'day, everyone, wherever you're watching around Australia or, in fact, around the world. That's right. And we're lucky that we're not in real-world conditions, because this place has got a terrible, well, it's got a reputation for flooding. So I'm glad that we don't have to worry about that tonight. But how's this? We didn't get, any races in the rain last year, and now this year, we've got 2 back-to-back. Unreal.
Yeah, a little live look there in your right-hand side of what the weather looks like here in practice, and it is very heavy but patchy rain that is flowing across here around this Emilia-Romagna circuit. We're not too far away from the Adriatic coast on the right-hand side, and this is how the championship looks as we walk into today. Sam Blacklock with a comfortable margin in the top of points on 366. The TTR driver of Jake Burton then just behind, with Brad Rattu and Blake Warboys 3rd and 4th. You then got Jack Widders and James Chastanuff there for Bar in 6th. Brad Newman for Lobs Esports trying to give them more support up there in the championship. 7th with Hayden Veld, Rain Campbell and Ryan Jones, your top 10. But the bubble is important to talk about here, Sandman, because Dylan Pereira is only 4 points to the good, but has 2 drivers to worry about, both Ryan O'Sullivan and Daniel Poulton.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you look at what our live pitches have got, these conditions, that's almost nightmare, isn't it? Because, you got to rely on having a good points day, and these conditions can make it that much tougher for you. So that pressure of the bubble would be really on the minds of these guys right now. And for me, if I was in that position, I'd want beautiful, clear skies, but it's not the case.
No, you want simple, and today is anything but simple around a circuit that, let's be quite honest, is one of the great hot lap driving tracks out there. We're going to zoom on down in here with our Google Earth view of where we are today, and Emilia-Romagna, Imola here. We are halfway between Florence and Venice out there as we get ourselves set for racing action. This the circuit constructed for the son of Enzo Ferrari, of course, Dino Ferrari, who lost his life tragically earlier before Enzo Ferrari was able to do. And truly, one of the biggest elevation change circuits that you will find. That rise up the hill from Tosa, over the crest at Piratella, down to Acqua Minerale. It's one of those sections, Sandman, that pretty much lands in the minds of anyone who reveres what racing tracks are all about.
Absolutely, and it's a track that if you get right and put an absolute cracker of a lap together, you are grinning from ear to ear, because exactly what you touched on, the undulation and everything, the difficulty of this racetrack is just par none. So when you put a lap together, it is brilliant. It's sad though that this place, for such a great racetrack, is almost tarnished a little bit. Obviously, we think straight away with Ayrton Senna and his death in '94, but a great racetrack, and I'm pumped that it's actually on the calendar this year.
I am as well. This is my favourite circuit in the world. It's an anti-clockwise track as well, which puts a little bit of a different spin to it. And Hayden, but look at it at Acqua Minerale. It is pretty much a puddle all across the circuit as you try and go through. You're not going to be able to get much clearance then of the spray as well through sections like that, because this is one of the tougher circuits to get up to top speed at. The entire second half of the lap, you are fighting through the gears, Sandman.
Yeah, and going by these onboard pictures, it's like glass out there. So the amount of water, you can barely see the tyre tracks from the cars in front. So, and there goes Hayden Veld. He's going to just hold on to it. Yeah, I think he might be showing off a little bit. He's smiling. So, but those conditions are terrible. So you can't even see the tyre tracks from the car in front. So that's a little bit of a worry, because you said it exactly right. It's hard enough to get the power down here as it is, and then to throw all these conditions at these drivers, they've definitely got their work cut out for them this evening.
Rain Campbell's got the fan going alongside, so he's very much in the hot box today as he looks to get himself set here in these very tough weather conditions right now. They will have qualifying to deal with on the horizon. That will be 20 minutes worth of qualifying to get yourself in the right position for a race like this. And this is also going to be, looking at just the amount of standing water here, Sandman, one of the few tracks where you don't want to be about 3 rows back, because all you're going to see is a wall of spray as you get yourself up to speed, and it's going to be tough. 45 laps here today, or actually 41 laps, sorry, here today. So we're going to be just a little bit shorter in terms of our distance out there, but it's still going to be enough that it is going to feel like the longest race of the calendar.
Absolutely. And you talking about visibility, you are not kidding. Anyone who's done any laps in the wet or caught a broadcast of these races that we have, when conditions are like this, it's just like a wall in front of you and you can't see. So, yeah, you want to pray that you are in those first couple of rows, because it's going to be an absolute nightmare back in the grid.
It certainly will be, and we will keep an eye out on it. 2 compulsory pit stops and no tank restriction today. So it means that you can pretty much fill it up to the end of the race early if you need to, but this will be a track where you are trying to modulate the throttle as much as you possibly can over the course of this run. Just taking a look at the times in practice at the moment. William Sapstead, currently the quickest, the Kiwi, on a 53.4 at the moment, and there is a lot of difference over the course of the times. You go all the way down, and the 1 second margin is broken at Rik Kuznetsov in the 888 car at 10th place. So when you're talking about rain is the great equaliser, it's also the great difference maker, Sandman. I think we're seeing that over the course of this qualifying, or of this practice going towards qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of these teams and drivers will be hoping that these conditions sort of get better and better. But what they're hoping for, even though you're getting that little bit of drizzle, is that dry line, and then the times will tumble a little bit. But at the end of the day, we got all excited about the whole wet tyre graphic, and I don't think that's going to change, unfortunately, today. I think the way the conditions are looking on the forecast, it's probably going to be wet from start to finish. A little bit different what we experienced at the last round, where there were some teams and drivers changing over to slicks.
Yeah, William Sapstead seeing a car spin around in front of him. It's one of the Eclipse cars there over at the section of road known as the Villeneuve chicane, named after legendary Gilles Villeneuve. And again, that was Hayden Veld who had that go through. Now, this is an important one to talk about, and this is why you look at someone like Marcelo Rivera and say he's in 11th, and that's important. He is on no points through the opening 2 rounds. He was out at turn 1 in the opening race. In the second race, he was out at turn 1. And so he's looking around. He doesn't want to get the hat trick of turn 1 crashes here. Well, the good news is that Tamburello is classed as turn 2 around this circuit. So he'll be okay so long as he doesn't have a crash through the small kink left. But here is a driver, Sandman, who absolutely needs the winning in.
Yeah, you're not kidding, because with the 0 points and only tonight and next week to go, he's obviously not going to make it on points to make the top 20, or the top 16, I should say. So the pressure's really on, and we know Marcelo, he's a talented driver. He doesn't deserve to be back where he is, but unfortunately, that's just the way of the world. He's had that much drama in the first 2 rounds, so he's absolutely preying on a win and you're in.
Yeah, I think if you want to have a look at Marcelo Rivera, he's got to be very much like the Hall of Fame, or the only unanimous Hall of Famer in baseball, Mariano Rivera, if he wants to be one of the greatest closers to get himself into that position. So here's someone who's got to be careful. Brian Jones having a very nice affinity then at DPR with this machinery. He is absolutely taken, well, pardon the pun in these conditions, like a duck to water. And he'll be certainly hoping that on today's running, that he will continue to build on that form to get himself in the dance.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, jeez. I cringe every time we go to these live pictures and see these cars, because they're obviously, look at it, every time they touch a puddle, they are just aquaplaning and all over the place. But yeah, Ryan Jones, hopefully a good night tonight. Where he is at the moment, this is only practice time, so we go qualifying in just over 2 minutes time, but that's what he'd be praying for, is just get at least inside that top 10 for a start. But tell you what, if you get pole, it's going to be a massive advantage with these conditions.
Oh, it will. You get a clear line of sight through the opening corners, and you don't know how important brake markers are going to be. Now, Wayne Walker, who is right up there in the 40 plus out there, is going to go through. We are just getting word that we are going to be losing one driver here from this race. We are getting word that Teo Sorono's had a last-minute family emergency, so he will be unable to race tonight. So we will send our best wishes across over to Teo and his family out there at this moment in this time, and hope that everything is all okay and that we will see him back at the season finale in 6 days' time. But Wayne Walker out there, who is doing very good in the V8 Veterans Championship, Sandman, someone definitely to keep an eye out on. He did have laps led over at the Hockenheimring.
Yeah, a sensational race there last week, and it was just so unfortunate. Just had a spin in the late stages, but you couldn't blame him. Take nothing away from him. The conditions were really, really tricky, and yeah, it's great to see some of our vet stars shining in this one. I'm a proud vets racer myself, and I know they've got some great talent over there, and it's good to see that they've made the Pro Invitational for the qualifying series anyway. It's really good to see.
Well, I'm proud that I've still got a decade before I put myself in those shoes, but it will be a lovely series as and when I get the chance to jump in with it. But it is still all about whose nerve can be held. And this is what you got to remember as well with a series like this. Most sim racing series, Sandman, you understand what the weather conditions are going to be a week, a month, a year before you actually get in and use them, so you can practice and you can get that understanding of what it's going to be like. Here, you pretty much know what the conditions are about a few hours before you can go out. So any practice that you've done over the week, you don't know what conditions are going to be like, and when you've got both dry and wet to think about, how would you as a driver look to manage your practice time?
Me, for conditions like this, as soon as the server was available, I'd want to be in straight away and just turning laps. You don't care about punching out the fastest lap time. Obviously, that goes great. But if you are in these conditions, you just want to be on track, and you want to feel if the track changes, how the weather changes, if it stays consistent. What do these tyres do? What you're looking for is, when you're out on track, is where are the big puddles that you want to stay away from too? Because it's not unusual to see big puddles form right where you want to be positioning your car, whether it be in the corner or on the exit. So that's what I'd be doing. I'd want as many laps as I could get.
Checkered flag is out then in practice for the Logitech G Pro Invitational Qualifying Series, round 3 from the Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari. This is now where qualifying brings itself into play. The goal is simple. It's 20 minutes worth of time. Everybody out there on circuit, no escape to be had as they go through, and critically, as they set themselves up. Today of all days, maybe being first out there on track is going to be the advantage. What will also be the advantage is understanding how heavy the rain is falling. We are in Category 2 style rain. That is green band worth of rain on the radars. Blue is Category 1 rain, which is light rain out there. And as I'm looking at the radar, with a hint of Category 3 yellow rain, just trying to peer itself off down to the south of the circuit, it looks like about 10 minutes from now, it is going to get lighter. So I would say you want to be out on track, just understanding the conditions, getting the tyres up to temperature, because in theory, it gets easier.
Yeah, that's right. And what we'll see different from what we normally see in dry conditions is that in dry conditions, the teams will be out there, they'll punch out one lap, they'll head straight back to pit lane and put on a new set of Dunlops. What happens in the wet? You stay out on that tyre, because what you want to do is build that temperature. You want to keep going, put laps into these tyres, because they're going to get better with temperature. So that's what we're going to see a difference. But look at these onboard pictures. It's almost like a swimming pool out there. So very glassy conditions. And just looking back from the back of Ryan Jones, how much that car's just moving around. He's doing that. Oh, back on the power. How good's that? That just shows you. And what's tricky about that is not only it's wet, it's uphill too. So, you know, you've got the best of both worlds trying to go against you.
Yeah, it's not just that as well, Sandman. It's the fact that this is an old school feel of car. You've got that differential at the back, and you're not going to have four-wheel drive. This is a car that puts understeer and oversteer through it, and you're never quite sure which beast is going to rear its head.
Absolutely. And if you're a fan of GT racing, you know, none of this traction control and ABS and all the rest of it. So it's all about just, you know, I guess driving by the seat of your pants, basically, and getting a feel for these conditions. At least Barney's dry. Look at that.
Yeah, Barney's got himself a very nice position out there. He's got those working overalls out there. You won't need a change of those. You don't need to hang that up by the time you get back to paddock. So that's certainly very good. First qualifying times then about to start. We know one driver who will not be setting a qualifying time here today, Sandman, and that's Brad Newman. He picked up 15 seconds worth of penalty out there at the Hockenheimring, and because of the way that his penalty points have gone, he's got a rear of grid to start this race off. So he'll have to try and maraud his way from the back of the pack.
Yeah, and in the worst conditions possible too. So it's almost like a double penalty. But look, at the end of the day, that's the rules. You never know too, because obviously starting down the back, he'll let the grid go away. You do have to still make 2 pit stops. So it's not over for him. If he has a pit stop at the right time and the safety car falls his way or something, it can bring him right into the back, you know, back into the pack. But certainly makes it difficult from the drop of the green flag.
Over at Piratella, trying to take the karting line through the left-hander. The rubber is going to be a lot more slippery on the racing line around this place, but then down the hill through to Acqua Minerale, which is known as the Mineral River Corner, and it pretty much looks like it right now. Fight on the exit for traction. Don't go over the white lines and pick up an off-track instant point. And over the renamed Curva Grassini, named after Fausto Grassini, the wonderful bike rider and, of course, team owner in MotoGP, as Ryan Jones tackles the former Variante Alta, now trying to run back down the hill here, over towards Ravazza, and you've got to turn and brake at the same time, which makes this such a tough corner to get it on the binders and into this left-hander. He batters the first curb, now looks for the second curb there, and I'd love that house in the background. If it was available to be had, I'd move there in a heartbeat. Ryan Jones then looking to make this drive over towards the line then on this long straight run over towards the finish. We're looking for about a 53 out there, but starting off with a 2-minute lap time here. This track is going to take a while to get the water off of it, so you need 3 or 4 laps.
Yeah, oh, see Billy Mole, he's just lost it. He's out of the way though, and such an easy, gentle spin. I'm surprised how many drivers are actually up on the curbs in that section, because curbs aren't normally your best friend in these wet conditions, but they're all making it work at this stage. But these times are going to tumble a little bit and fluctuate. So regardless of what they bank for their first lap, obviously it's important, but I think these times will just get better and better the more these cars circulate.
Well, they're not high curbs out there, so you're not going to get a massive puddle when you get there. And a lot of these curbs, Sandman, they've got the anti-cut on the inside. So at certain places, if you attack the curb right, you actually get two tyres up in the air. And so you're not actually getting a contact patch with the ground. And I think that might be the reason why we're seeing certain drivers attack certain curbs, like Tamburello, for example.
It explains a lot. That's why they're there and I'm here, I think.
Dennis Gatterick over to the line, a 2:03.1, about 4 seconds off the pace, good enough for 12th at the moment. Wayne Walker over the top of the crest and down into Ravazza, and it's currently Blake Warboys who's just gone second on a 59.5. Ryan Bettis, the quickest at the moment, and Wayne right now is going to need a lot of help. You could see the correction of oversteer through the final corner as he looked to try and apply the power down. This is a car that can go about 300 kilometers an hour in good conditions, and it is a long old haul over towards the line, a 2:04.1 to set it up. That's okay. And now here's Kurt Stenberg right now. Very interesting seating. But oh, he's just got a tag into one of the cars around him there. That's Billy Mole, who he's managed to get into the rear. So one, that will invalidate the lap. Two, he is leant forward. He's almost got his chin over the steering wheel right now. He wants to see as much as he can in these conditions.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got such a unique driving style, Stenny, but it works for him. It reminds me of anyone who used to watch the old days of NASCAR racing. It gives me a feel of how Mark Martin used to race up on the wheel like that. But, yep, he was having a red-hot go. Unfortunately, made a little bit of nose-to-tail contact. Nothing intentional. It's just the conditions.
Well, in saying that, Blake Warboy's third, but get this time, Sandman, at the top. 7/10 of a second faster than anybody else. Ryan Bettis is making a claim for Rainmeister.
Yeah, he's loving the conditions at the moment. And, yeah, when you put that sort of margin over the rest of the field this early on, that gives you a little bit of a chance to take a sigh of relief because the pressure isn't there. So he can just focus on his racing line and improve, and hopefully that gets better and better for him. But what a great jump, 7/10.
Such a shallow line by Blake Warboys, really trying to avoid that rubbered in layer of the circuit, and you see it through the second part. You just can't avoid it through Ravazza 2 and over then in the WKMP SimSport car to the line. Warboys needing to improve on a 59.5. Dan Poulton, the bubble man on the outside looking in, he's fourth because Warboys has just gone second on a 58.8. So that cuts that margin down to 0.2 of a second, as Sam Blacklock right now, currently in third, will be looking around and going, yeah, this is a really good position. Where are the times out there? And I can find a lot more. Again, having to have a lot of correction. And this is one of the awkward things about this circuit. Track position is everything, not for having slipstream, but for having clean space.
Yeah, it's visibility, isn't it? That's what you want. The thing for me, if I'm a driver and I'm a little bit down the field on the time, but I might be 6th or 7th, but still a second over...
Brad.
Please, Sam. Yes, there you go. Brad Ratu at 58.2. The thing I'd be taken away from it is at least I know that the time is there in the track and the conditions. So that would just make me sort of feel that a little bit better knowing that the time is there.
You can see the water kicking up then off of the skirt there on the inside as they now start to work themselves over towards Tamburello. Oh, that's straight on. That's straight on. You missed your breaking point. Ryan O'Sullivan, 7,000 shy of pole at the moment. And these conditions, as we might need a little look at the radar in a moment, we're still in that Category 2 band of rain, but that Category 1 band, I think, is going to come right at the end of qualifying here. So it's taking a little bit of time to get it into position. Dan Poulton up to third then on a 58.5, and you're starting to see drivers who can do a lot. I actually give some credit to her. Philippa Bokada then up inside the top 10. Sapstead, who was the fastest in practice, goes 7th, sorry.
Just trying to get a read on these conditions, exactly what you touched on. You know, we're waiting for that change in the rain, and hopefully that just lightens up for these drivers. come towards the end of the session, we are seeing a little bit of a line peering. So now we're starting to see tyre marks. So that's always good. And then obviously we're seeing the track evolve a little bit. So into the 58s, almost ready to collect the 57s. Although there's a couple of cars there just sideways off the racing line there. But it gives us a little bit of promise that the possibility of this track getting a bit better is working in our favour.
You got to remember, as Rivera goes sixth fastest ahead of Ryan Jones, hey, that's going to be a lot of fight there through the curve of Grassini for Rain Campbell, and he just about gets himself through it. You've got to remember, this is a big fight circuit out there at the moment. They are looking to try and hold themselves for this qualifying as much as they can. They've got 38 cars pounding their way around this circuit. That is naturally going to kick that water up into the air and create a line for these drivers to work with, but it's not going to be as simple as Ryan Bettis goes into the 57s and a quarter of a second clear of Brad Ratu with that run. You're looking around and trying to say, Sandman, in these conditions, even if you do go up and get time and get pace, it's not going to be a uniform dry line that's going to form, because everyone's going to have a slightly different line in these wet conditions.
Yeah, absolutely. And a bit like what I touched on before. So Kenny, oh, there we go. So Kurt Stenberg, he was just inside the top 10 earlier. Now he slipped to 19th. So that's showing how this track's evolving, and he needs to improve, and he has a tiny bit. No, he hasn't. He stayed. So, yeah, that's what they're looking for, track evolution.
Yeah, this track, they just need to find confidence in it. There's Chasty, James Chastaner in the 427. He's really trying to fight hard there through Aqua Minerale. It is the toughest corner in these conditions. It's downhill to flat braking zone, turn and brake at the same time, in rain, and then back up the hill onto the power on the exit. It's a nightmare, dressed in a watery dress at this moment in time, as Chasty now trying to work his way through to the second half of this lap and really give what he can. Warboy's improving again, goes fourth fastest onto a 58.4, and again you're just really fighting to see what can you do at this moment. 8 minutes to go and a massive wiggle over the curb there through the first part of Ravazza on the exit. You are just trying to work out what's going to be the way that I assess it. Would you, in this situation, Sandman, if you're seeing these times continuing out there over and over, are you looking just to say, look, another lap, or would you take a couple minutes just to reassess the situation and go, you know what, I might need a breather because of the intensity of what this circuit and conditions bring?
Yeah, absolutely. Because yes, you got to look after your car and the conditions, but you got to look after yourself too. Because it can be quite taxing, as we see Jake Burton. He's in sixth place, so much better than where he was in practice. But you're right, because it's so taxing, it's mentally taxing. You're soaring on the steering wheel as far as trying to fight grip through the car. So yes, it's really important. And some people might take that moment just to maybe take a wander down pit lane and put on a new set of tyres at the halfway point of this session. But you don't want to do it towards the end because you want temperature in those tyres.
Josh Houghton here is in 22nd position, and I would argue a little bit out of place at this point in time. He did a 53.7 in practice. He was one of the fastest drivers out there, so to be down, way down at the moment, that's a 201.9 as he gears himself up to speed. And you're looking around, for those who are staying out, how critical is a cool lap in this situation? I know it's very easy to cool the tyres off, but you're probably looking at quick pull.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing we've got, what have we got? Just over 6.5 minutes to go. So, and we're touching on that this track, touching on the track evolution, is that's one of the biggest fears, that as this track goes on, you don't want to be sort of in a cool down part of the lap. Oi, big wiggle there for Blake, must have hit a puddle there, but yeah, you don't want to be in a cool down when the track's sort of maybe at its best. So you sort of want to be on it and be on top of it as much as you can.
Brad Ratu on a 58 flat. He's only 600 shy of Ryan Bettis at the moment, and he's really trying to hope that his day is going to be written with it. And this 20 km/h wind right now that is gusting through around this Imola circuit is going to be creating a lot of movement in the weather conditions, so that's going to be key. 2-minute point 2 from Ratu. That was just to get it sorted. Now, Philippa, she was up inside the top 10 in the Bürossud car, and Bürossud in German represents Office South. It's a Munich-based company that has control of it, thanks to Florian Hasper, who is also in charge of VCO out there in the world of sim racing. She's really trying here as Philippa to get that time sorted, but it is busy. Half a second is good enough for that top 10, but these are conditions where half a second can be found. Haydenfeld up to 12th. Here comes Philippa to the line.
Yeah, and Philippa's getting everything thrown at her. She's obviously getting used to this car. It's different from what she's normally racing. And then to have a taste of the wet last week, it probably helped her for conditions this week, because obviously we didn't know, or no one knew what the conditions were going to be like. So even though she's got a little bit of a feel, I think that's going to help her as now she's moved into P13 now.
Yeah, because William Sapstead then is 9th, Kurt Stenberg up to 8th, Jack Widdus and Jake Burton have been the quiet lot in the top 10. They're 5th and 7th at the moment, and we'll go back to Dennis Gatterick here in 20th. And right now, I would argue these are the sort of conditions right now, Sandman, where you've got to look at who's the last driver over the line when the clock hits 0. They are allowed to finish any lap they start.
Yep, absolutely, and that's something we touched on last week too, is you want to be on the right, like you said, the last car across the line, and then you've got hopefully the best of the conditions. So no one's really bothered the 57-58 of recent, but like you said, people might be prepping themselves for this last 4 minutes.
Yeah, you'll get a flurry out there at the moment, and Ratu is out there on a flyer as things go, working for it too. Jake Burton's out there on a flying lap, trying to find that improvement. 58 flat to improve, 57.9 is that pole mark. So can Brad Ratu here find the jump necessary to get it over the line? It's a 58.2, so dropped a couple tenths of a second there, but that's all right. There's the Trans-Tasman car of Burton, second in the championship. Will feel very safe in terms of points, but obviously you don't want to do 4 rounds worth of racing to tie yourself out before the start of the season. That's too much effort for some, so a win is desperate. And over the line, 58.3, that's 1 place jumped up. He leapfrogs Blake Warboys and goes to 4th.
Yeah, Jake's been a bit of a surprise in this one. I expected him to qualify his way through either in round 1 or 2, but he's had all sorts of conditions thrown at him and different challenges. He's had some issues, but nevertheless, he's in the points, like you said. As we see Jack Widdus, he's trying to improve on 7th place with currently a 158.8. Does he improve on that? 58.3.
Yeah, so that's going to be something where they are now looking at what are these conditions giving, and I would say that you've got this lap and you've got to be absolutely on it. So Marcella Rivera, I think, is going to be on a very nice lap. Had a lot of traffic, though, heading through the Curva Grassini. That's going to be the worry as well. When a driver loses out time, you can't just back off of it as lap traffic. You'd have to sort of stay in the power, and then he just really commits it into the corner. Is he over-committed there through that next section?
Yeah, I wonder if he got a bit wide. He's struggling with grip. He might have just lost here in the last sector. His sectors have been good. He's trying to improve out of 12th place with a 59.124. Has that cost him in the last little bit? He's done to a 58.9.
And you feel there that he could have been up there challenging Poulton and Warboys with that lap, because he was fighting the car going through Ravaxas and hoping to get something out of it. You can't muscle a car around here in these conditions. It's fine-tune and fettle.
Yeah, absolutely. And the nerves would have gone up a little bit. He would have seen his times. He would have seen that he was improving. And it always gets a little bit nerve-wracking when you come to the last couple of corners for a driver, when you know you're already, you look at your sectors are looking good and you're looking to improve. So that's probably what caught him out a little bit. But still, what have we got? A minute and a half to go. So if he puts this lap together, he may be able to find that time.
If he can find it, it's going to be critical. Ryan O'Sullivan then is going to make that push towards the line. 58.2 currently his best, and over the line he goes. He'll get no lap time here on this one, but gearing up for a strong lap. 1 minute and a quarter left in this session. Now, I would look at someone right now who is around Tozer, who's around Piratella, someone like maybe Angus Lawford might be the last car over the line. Bokada then going on to set now a start of a lap. Here comes William Sapstead in 10th.
just trying his absolute best to get the power down. Let's see if he can improve. He's trying to beat a 59.0 to get inside the top 10. What does he do?
Nowhere near.
No, it looks like it's a prep lap, that one.
It does. William Brown then here is with 40 seconds away. Car 96 out there at the moment, now gearing up for it. So too is Leo Duncan. You're turning around, 30 seconds left here in qualifying. Last one over the line is going to have the best of the conditions, you feel, at this point on what are dour and damp conditions at the moment. 18 seconds for Duncan. Rivera crossing the line, 13 seconds left, 11 seconds on the clock, and it's going to go and do a 58.5 to jump Dan Poulton up into 7th. Will Buchanan will cross with 4 seconds to go. I think Russell Pepperell's going to be short here, and will be. Checkered flag falls on Russell Pepperell over the line. Mazzaroli and Lawford aren't going to get to the line in time, so you're starting to think who's got a lap time and who's left it in the right conditions. Burton, oh, he's gone in deep. He's got too close to the car in front. He's not going to get anything sorted. Ryan Jones, who's 14th, is going to hope to start jumping up here and say this is good enough. 59.1 he needs. 58.9 he does. That's top 10. That's top 10. Good job. Jamie Johnstone just crosses the line, and he'll do himself a 2:01.2. That will jump in 1 place to 36. But Ryan O'Sullivan's done out there in terms of qualifying, and you're looking around and saying, well, who's going to do what? You've got Bokada out there trying to find something. Ratu's out there looking for a lap. Chastity is outside the top 20. Mai had the time changed. He's up to 17th. Bokada on a 59.1 is going to leapfrog a couple places. That's good enough for 13th. But Ratu is going to be the one to keep in mind. He's on a 58 flat. Polton's in's not going to improve. There is Brad Ratu, and this one could be close. Heading towards the line. Kurt Stenberg is 9th currently, and is going to cross the line, and it's going to do a 58.5. That's good enough for 8. But what about Ratu crossing for it? And that is going to be over the line, one that will not count. We thought it was a 57. It will not count, and that is going to sting. Ryan Bettis, I think, has just outlasted the conditions here, Sandman, and has got pole.
Yeah, that was huge. The only driver to be in the 57s, but easily done. Brad Ratu could have just got a little bit wide and got an off-track penalty. The lap didn't count. It looked like it was going to be a cracker, but Ryan holds on. What a session.
What a fantastic session. It proved to be hard fought. The yards that needed to be turned were critical here in qualifying. And so it's the 113 that will have that pole position. Ryan Bettis will get it done over Bradley Ratu, with Ryan O'Sullivan, the driver who is 3rd in terms of how this grid stacks. So there's the car's one performance and orbit drop bear on that front row. Row 2 will head to Ryan O'Sullivan, with Jack Widders there in 4th position for Racecraft Simulations. Row 3 will have Jake Burton, nice tie mate, there in 5th position, as Blake Warboys will be lining up in 6th place. William Sapstead for Rapid Theft was expecting to be the best in the practice times, but can only manage 7th, with Marcelo Rivera in 8th place on a must-win day today. Kurt Stenberg there, nice jacket there, mate, in 9th position, with Daniel Poulton in 10th position. 11th then, just outside that top 10, will be Ryan Jones. It's an all DPR 6th row of the grid, because Chris Ireland is there for company along with. Philippa Bokada had a really good time there in that qualifying session. 13th is a great representation of her pace, with Wayne Walker then in 14th for Accelerate Sim Racing, part of the V8 Veteran Series, and really quick in that. Josh Houghton is 15th, with Hayden Veld there in 16th place for Eclipse. On row 9 of this grid is James Chastanuff. Dylan Pereira, who is going to be there for company, is in 18th position. Your top 20 will be rounded out by Sam Blacklock with the Kiwi helmet, and Will Buchanan there for Ike's Revolution Racing, and trying to make it all work. On the outside of that top 20 for Synergy is Tom Freer, as Leo Duncan will be 22nd. Dennis Gatterick will be lining up in the 333 car in 23rd, and it will be the 888 in the 9.5 SimSport Red red and black of Rick Kuznetsov then alongside that. You've then got Brian Borg and Russell Pepperell. They are on row 13, as the 14th row will house the likes of Angus Lawford and William Brown, 27th and 28th. Your top 30 rounds out by Jordan Mazzaroli and Tice Hodge there for Vermilion Esports. 31st will be Ross Rizzo. He's more of a GT specialist for Trans-Tasman Racing, and Aaron Borg will also be there for Trans-Tasman in 32nd. You then got Brody Sentence, and there's a shock. Rain Campbell, absolutely nowhere in that qualifying session, 3 seconds off the pace, leaving Billy Mole unable to set or will be a bit back there on a 2-minute 0.9. Damien Johnston on a 2:01.2. Blake Fitz and Jamie Dyke then for Fishy Motorsport. Jamie Dyke there 37th and 38th. And then the drivers who are at the back, Brad Newman, who did not set a time. And then, of course, with a family emergency, Teo Soarono will not take the start. Down on the grid is Stephen Sandman Clark. He has managed to catch up with your pole sitter from this one, Ryan Bettis.
Hello.
Hey, Ryan. How are you, mate? Obviously, the conditions aren't the best, buddy, but you've got the best starting spot.
Yeah, not really keen for this. Put a lot of effort into the wet. Setup feels good. Really keen for this one.
And the biggest fear is obviously in these conditions when you're starting back in the pack. So for you, visibility isn't an issue, providing you get a great start. That's always something to think about, and that's always a bit of a scary thing, isn't it? Because that lack of visibility and the chaos that could happen back there is the last thing that you want to happen.
Yeah, definitely want to be P1 by turn 1, 100%. Definitely quali. Tried my best to get at the front, but I was just a bit slow, so just stayed behind Ryan. Got clear airs. Happy days.
And, mate, we all know about winning you're in. You're still not doing too bad at the moment, currently 12th, the way the standings are at this stage. So you've got yourself in a good position as far as, track position. So, even if you don't win, a good race result tonight will sort of make things a little bit better for coming into the final round, obviously, to make the cut.
Yeah, just mainly this race, just pray for a top 10. Next race, just be consistent, maybe top 15. Should be all good. I don't know if I'll make it through. I mean, pace is there, but I don't know. We'll see. Wait and see what next round brings.
We'll bring that confidence to you, mate. You've got pole position. The car, obviously, the pace is good. You touched on that. So hopefully everything goes well for you, buddy. How are you feeling? Are the nerves there at the moment?
Yeah, nerves are there. Definitely not keen for the start. My starts are horrendous, so I probably won't be P1 by turn 1. But we pray, wait and see.
All right, mate, all the best. We'll let you go and focus. Get ready for the start. Have a good one, and hopefully we'll talk to you at the end of the night.
Lovely. Cheers, boys.
Cheers, mate. There you go. And Jake, you've had a wander down, and you've caught up with, I reckon, the guy with one of the best helmets on the grid, Daniel Poulton.
Hello, fellas.
I absolutely have. Daniel, it's a 10th place start for you here today. You're a driver on the outside of the championship points looking in, and that difficult qualifying session, you've given yourself a really good platform there in the One Performance racing car.
Yeah. I'm just outside of it in the standings, but I think it's like 4 points, and I jump up 10 or 5 spots or something. So, but yeah, 10th is impressive. If you look at my first qual in this series, it was 43rd. So I've jumped up and worked quite a bit to get here.
Yep, you certainly are there. How happy are you that it's dry on the start of this race? And though there would be a lot of worry for drivers in wet conditions if they went through the opening lap of this one, they had all the spray to deal with. So how happy are you that you've got at least a dry start? It looks like rain is coming on the horizon, though.
I'm pretty gutted that it's not wet, because it's actually pretty fun around here. But dry will at least get us through the first lap or two, and then we can get a bit of space, and then when the rain comes, hopefully the chaos doesn't come with it. Usually it does bring the chaos, but fingers crossed it's pretty clean.
So we were chatting with Ryan up at the top. He was eyeing up a top 10 from a position of pole position. I'm sure you'll be looking at this going, there's a few drivers in front who are quick, but do you think you can just pick off a few chances here with your position that you've got on the grid here?
I don't know about picking. At least my mentality is top 10, so if I get a spot here or there that's freebies, I'll take it. But as long as I'm in the top 10, that's where my focus is at.
Well, we'll leave you to focus then. Daniel Poulton from One Performance Racing, the 970 car, will be lining this one up from 10th position and giving it a fair old go as we get ourselves set for racing action. Sandman, dry start, and there you can see 10-second penalty for impeding in qualifying for Sam Blacklock, and that is going to sting.
Yeah, absolutely. What he wants to do is, with these penalties, obviously the chances of a safety car are pretty high because of the conditions. We don't know if there's going to be more rainfall as this race goes on. So, yeah, it hurts. A 10-second penalty is not much fun, but he'll want to get rid of that as quick as he can, and hopefully a safety car bunches up the field and he's able to capitalise and bring all that field back to him.
Now, there is still standing water here on the edges of the circuit, so it's not a 100% dry track to start this race, and we're going to take a little bit of a zoom in there. You can see it in the reflection that there is still standing water here on this circuit. It is going to make life a little bit tougher, and if we can get the radar up, there is rain imminent off this start, and we're talking 5 to 10 minutes into this race, so they're not going to get many laps at all before the rain hits.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So you just hope that these drivers will have someone keeping an eye on these conditions for them. It's going to be ever-changing. It's going to have to just feel the way around this racetrack, and because obviously the way they are at the moment, everyone's going to be on wets. No one's going to be on dries at the moment, and with that rain coming, you want to be ready for it.
But you look at that weather front as well, Sandman, that is it. There is nothing behind it that says it's going to rain some more. So it might just be a case of you've just got to outlast it at the moment, and it's going to be very, very tough. There you can see it in the distance. That is a looming threat coming over the circuit.
Yeah, and really wet in this part of the racetrack as well. So, yep, we'll see this track change a little bit. Like we said, when there's a amount of the cars on there doing laps with no rainfall at this stage, you will get a dry line. Of course, that's going to start to make things a little bit tricky when you want to get out and pass. But, the big question will be on everyone's mind is, is this a race that's where everyone's going to transition to slicks? I guess we just have to wait and see.
It's the Toza end of the circuit that will get the rain first. The last section of the circuit to get it will be the Ravazza end of this circuit, an anti-clockwise track, which sometimes does throw up a few differences. There aren't many anti-clockwise tracks. Most circuits are clockwise. I think this one and Oran Park comes to mind, and then also Interlagos. Those are the big three out there at the moment that are the big anti-clockwise circuits to go and battle with. But Ryan Bettis will have this control of the field, knowing that you've got Brad Rattu alongside Ryan O'Sullivan there in third position, and patience, I think, is going to prevail, but today is going to feel like a stick or twist type day. When you've got 2 mandatory pit stops to take, Sandman, are you looking at this going, well, if I go in, get wet tyres, it doesn't work, I can go back to dries, and then my compulsory strategy is pretty much done on a gamble?
Yeah, but you don't want to be caught on the wrong tyre at the wrong time too. So drive to the conditions and have someone keep an eye on that weather forecast, because at the moment, obviously, you want to be on wets. So I don't think there'd be one person in the field that would be on dries from the conditions that we've seen anyway. So I would imagine if there's a little bit more of a sprinkle of rain, you'd go through that, maybe weigh up the conditions. If you want to pit for an early wet, do that, and then you can switch to dries. But you've got to live for the now, and it's going to be an evolving story because you just don't know what the conditions or the weather. We hope that we're not going to see any more rain.
Well, in sim, track conditions are said that it is likely wet. We normally talk about crossover being very likely wet. So it's not in crossover at the moment. That's why every driver is out there starting on a wet tyre for today's racing action around this Imola circuit. It's round 3 of the V8 Pro Invitationals presented by Logitech G. And this is a win and you are in scenario. And this is the sort of day that in round 3 of 4, for all the budding golf fans, today is moving day. And so this is one where you have to be in the right place at the right time to give yourself a fighting chance at this finale of the qualifying series. We're just 5 seconds away now from gridding finding itself at completion. So let's get ourselves set for racing action here from Imola. This is going to be all about who can manage what. They've got 3 hours and 40 minutes to conduct this in. Lights are on here around this circuit. You can see the work that's needed. Lights are out and we're off here, and it's a good start then from the fourth row of the grid back there from William Sapstead into line. They're already going to go. A little bit of rooster tailing as they now work themselves to Tamburello, and Bettis has the coverage on the inside as they work themselves in for the first time. Muscling through is Ryan O'Sullivan up into third. Very well behaved through the first part. Single files they work their way through.
Tell you what, Ryan was giving us a bump steer. He told us he wasn't very good off the line. That was a great start, and he's already starting to open up a little bit of a gap on the field. So that's exactly what everyone wanted. They got through a nice, clear opening half lap so far, just giving everyone a bit of room because they know that there's plenty of laps in here. They don't need to be going to making silly mistakes at this stage. Drive to the conditions and don't do anything stupid, and everyone has ticked that box so far.
Down at the bottom of the hill here at Tosa, the rise up the hill towards Piratella, a circuit that featured in the UCI Cycling World Championships back in 2020. Sam Blacklock got a tag through from James Chastanet off the exit. That one all okay, just a little bit of leaning on each other, and now look at this. Blacklock, who's got the 10-second penalty, is now going to have to be leaning side by side. Wide goes Chastanet, and he's going to drop like a stone. Pereira goes through. Now Leo Duncan wants a chance.
Everyone being smart. It's pretty much single file all through here. You can see how much water is on the racetrack here. Driving to the conditions. Oh, is that Brady Ratu just trying to hold off the tug? Oh, Ryan O'Sullivan's had a moment, has he?
No, he's got clear. Oh, no, there's the contact. Ratu into the wall. He'll be joined by Blake Warboys here, but things just about got away from it. They were fighting 3-4 wide off the exit. There was no launch from Jack Widders, who had nowhere to go and just ran straight up the back of the sliding Ratu. It's still continuing on there at the moment. Warboys is desperately trying to get this home, but a dramatic moment inside on the opening lap.
Yeah, that's the last thing they want, but it looks like a lot of damage there too, so they're going to have to go to the lane and fix that. But Jake Burton now in P4, so he's got off to a great start for the moment, but that's the last thing you need, and damage to these race cars. There's still time to get out there, but boy, oh boy, if there's too much damage, you're going to go down a lap really, really quickly.
It's one of the longest pit lanes out there, and that's deep through the opening corner by Jack Widders. And look at this from the two Trans-Tasman boys. They're 4th and 7th at the moment, and they're giving what for? Jake Burton trying to use that real-world experience then from the Toyota GR86s to try and get himself then the right line to work. Into the pit is Brad Ratu. He can pretty much write this day off. Widders has just run wide, and so we're going to take a look here at the OG Gear replay, exactly how quickly this will go through. So that's the first slide by Ratu, and that gives O'Sullivan the place.
Yep, and then it's a bit of a concertina effect. They're all trying to battle each other into the chicane. Everyone's holding a tight line here. Oh, a little bit of argy-bargy there on entry. And he's just having a hard time turning. And then he's got there, and there's like a little bit of contact in that rear. Bang, round he goes. Oh, an innocent bystander there with that Blake Warboys.
Yeah, and that's just struggling through the gears. The torque trying to be put through onto the circuit there, causing massive dramas. And into the rear then is Marcelo Rivera on William Sapstead as they try and fight. Burton's all over the shop trying to find a way through right now. This is Jack Widders trying to wrestle an octopus in a blender right now, trying to keep Jake Burton behind. He's having no luck.
Yeah, he's all over. He could see that the pace Jake had out of that corner, so he covered that inside line. He's absolutely entitled to do that, but he can see that Jake had a ton of speed there.
Yeah. Here's Brad Ratu. He's just leaving the pits now. Look at the damage on the front of that. He is going to have absolutely no downforce there on the front. The splitter is completely off the car, and so now you are starting to wonder how this race is going to go. That's your live point on the right-hand side. So Jake Burton would take championship lead as far as it goes from this moment. Brad Newman would be in, but just in at the moment. Tom Freer's the one on the outside looking in, tied on points on 356.
And Ratu, with all that damage, he's currently in P14 for the moment. So, man, oh man, you know, it's pressure cooker stuff now, because these drivers, you can't afford to have any dramas this late with only a 4-round series. So this is round 3 of 4. If you have a night that goes to custard tonight, that's going to make the pressure really cook for you next week when we go into the final round of the Red Bull Ring.
It certainly will do. Hayden Veld trying to attack Philippa Bokada at this stage. Chris Ireland then in front, and it's only a short shoot run here to Tozer, but it is deceptive. It's too short to be a long straight. It's too long to be a short straight out there, and so no further action called between Jack Widders and Brad Ratu. They're going to be as they are, as Dan Poulton looking for a chance to get by Ryan Jones. That for 8th place just in front, on board with Hayden Veld, and you can see that wide line in front, and the place lost in front then by Jones, who overcooks it at Piratella.
So easy to do in these conditions. Everyone's just holding on for dear life at the moment, and you're doing your absolute best not to make nose-to-tail contact. In these conditions, it's never intentional. You are just a passenger half the time. You get on the brakes and you lock a tyre. It's so easy to make contact, and in these conditions, these cars will spin so easily, and you can find yourself with a penalty. So that's something that's always playing on the mind of these drivers.
You can see Hayden Veld biting his bottom lip there as he tried to work through the curve of Grassini. He's really ragging to get what he can. 6/10 the gap at the front, but Bettis has been reeled in by Ryan O'Sullivan. Jack Widders is having to do so much fighting behind. They've already given themselves about a 5-second margin. In fact, for third, they will be side by side along the main straight here. Jake Burton's got the lane that he's wanted. He'll critically have the inside at Tamburello turn 2 here, Sandman.
Yeah, he's got the perfect line here. He's going to have the inside line, exactly what you talk. So it's going to be a drag race, but it's behind them. They're going to be interested to see how this all plays out. They want to get single file as quick as they can. So easy to lock a brake. They've all done really, really well. And thankfully, Marcelo Rivera back in 6th just behind this pack. He's continuing. It's lap 4.
It is only lap 4, and look at it, the rain is falling now, so any hopes that this was going to stay dry for the entirety of this run, well, they're out the window here. They've got a little bit of precipitation to deal with. Widders is defending so aggressively. Now William Sapstead wants a way in. Covered on the inside line, heading over towards Tozer. You've got to go round the outside, but you can put the power down on the outside line on the exit. Oh, and they're going to lean on each other there with the oversteer on the exit, just putting the power down slightly too early. Rivera has eyes bigger than the belly, nowhere to go, no further action for Brad Ratu. Outside of Piratella, chops his nose off, slides it through the middle of the corner. Sapstead, hold on, buddy. Jack Widders back down the hill's going to get it back.
I'm holding my breath for Marcelo Rivera. He doesn't want to see this in front of him because he doesn't want to get involved. We've already touched on the difficult start he's had to this 4-round championship. 0 points coming into tonight. He's in a decent position. He needs a win and you're in. He doesn't want to see drama in front of him. He just wants a nice, clear racetrack. So he's holding his breath with this battle between Widders and Sapstead.
I'll tell you what, you might have to start calling him Jungle Jack in a moment, Sandman, because nobody seems to be able to get out of him.
It's a bit like that, isn't it? Here we go. And look at up the front there. Like you said, nearly 5.5 seconds over Jake Burton in 3rd. So these two are just absolutely loving it at the moment. They don't need to race each other too hard. They just can revel in the moment that they've got 5 seconds up their sleeve.
Yeah, they're very happy with what they got. Bukada then continuing on in this challenge, and that then is a little bit of a wider line, but through on Chris Ireland, that a pass to move into the top 10. Veld then behind, and you got Houghton, you got Walker, you got Blacklock, who's got the 10 seconds there, and Dylan Pereira, all in that train. And we talk about trains being important, but you're also trying to follow the lines that the cars are doing in front, and different lines will be exercised through this section. Don't be surprised to see a car pin itself on the outside, not to try and make a move, but more rather just to get some sight lines out there to see what's going on out there on circuit. Massive kick of tail from Wayne Walker through the puddle, and he'll drop himself about 5 car lengths for that one.
Yeah, absolutely. They use a little bit of the old karting adage, isn't it? There's a little bit of grip out there as we go to an OG gear replay. Look at the visibility they're dealing with. Up the inside. Oh, is he going to pull it up? Here's a nice move there up the inside. That was Wayne Walker, was it?
Yeah, it was. And this is Wayne now having to deal with Dylan Pereira here coming off the exit. So pretty much out of the frying pan into the fire. And how you set the car up, I think, for this race is going to be really telling. You've got what is lightly wet conditions, going to get wetter, then going to get drier. So you're starting to wonder, do I commit to a full wet stint out there at this moment, or do I maybe try and sacrifice a little bit of that wet weather pace to hope maybe in the last 5-10 laps it dries up enough to have dry pace?
Yeah, and OG gear replay with Sapstead and Widders. They're going side by side through here. it's tricky enough to do in the dry. They're doing it in these wet conditions. Still haven't touched each other yet.
That's just mental. That is a mental pass there from William Sapstead. It is really good driving. You're absolutely right on that, Sandman. And Jack Widders realises right now that he's not got the quickest car in these conditions. He is having to be defensive, and now it's the turn of Marcelo Rivera to try and work a way through and gain that position. So lining it up then, the path of least resistance. They put up a whole plume of spray. Over to Tamburello they'll go, but Widders is later on the brakes, heavier on the brakes to try and cover these moves. And Sandman, that's going to be wearing his tyres out, surely.
Yeah, that, and like we touched on how easy it is to lock a tyre in these conditions. So if you lock a brake, you're almost going to be a passenger because you just slide off the racetrack. So got to be mindful of that. He's obviously very, very confident with his brake pedal at the moment, but he's all over the fact that Marcelo had a little bit of pace there, so he had to cover, but you've got to be smart about it.
Look at this field right now. Through the top 15, there are only 2 drivers who have lost places in this race. That goes to show you that there have been some big losers in this one, and everyone has just picked up a couple here and picked up a couple there.
Yeah, well, look at Sam Blacklock back in 13th, up 6 positions. Hayden Veld up 4 spots, and Philippa doing a great job inside the top 10, up 3 positions. I touched on it in practice or quali that I think it benefited Philippa to have those wet conditions last week. It sort of prepped her a little bit for this week. So good to see she's having a good run so far inside the top 10.
Sam Blacklock's trying to erase a 10-second penalty by making as many places as possible. Tice Hodge, your biggest mover, up 11, then in 19th place. He attacks off the exit. Very cheeky there by Sam, because he knew he was going to run off the circuit, but tried to get aggressive on the power on the exit anyway to jump by Hayden Veld. Not enough to cover it, and that's the difference right now between 1st and 13th there, as they're already down in Ravazia leaders. And Jake Burton, I think he's got the hurry-up message. I need to go and get as much as I can here compared to everybody else. What a fantastic view. This is everyone pretty much runs to the middle of the road trying to take their line into what is a very difficult Ravazza corner.
A great view, isn't it? That's we were talking before. That's where you want to purchase a bit of property, mate. So that can be your balcony view, eh?
It could. I would absolutely love to have that view of racing. I wouldn't have the tree in the way, though, but I would certainly absolutely love it to see amazing racing there. So now here's a look, OG replay. So down the hill, in towards this section, and is this just going to be a lot? Hey! That is full sideways, and you always worry about that. It's one of the Trans-Tasman cars then has gone for a little bit of a slide. I think it's Pepperell there, and that's what you have. You turn and brake at Aqua Minerale. In the dry, it's tough. In the wet, it's near impossible.
And the most sickening part of that is that you're just ready to pull a gear and you see a freight train of cars go past you and you think, oh my goodness, my night has just gone from bad to worse.
Right, into the pits, Lawford, Dyke and Campbell. Those are scheduled first stops from the back of the field. They'll be looking to get those out early. Car's actually just gone off in front of them. That's Chris Ireland, who has run into a couple of troubles then, as we get the 2 Vermilion cars then fighting hard here at Tozer Corner. Right now, this is Tice Hodge trying to get by Leo Duncan. So, lads, this is going to be a battle of Australian versus Kiwi. Oh, Jack Widders is spun. He's off. That's Piratella Corner.
Yeah, and look at the amount of positions that he's lost here too. Thankfully, it looks like he hasn't hit anything, but unfortunately...
But he has hit someone.
Yeah, or someone's hit him. So, yeah, we'll see a replay of that very shortly as we tee that up, but that's awful.
Well, Marcelo Rivera, unfortunately, has been a magnet for various cars over the course of this season, and Widders goes the slide, and you can't back out of it at that point if you're Rivera. He's just had to push his way through, and I don't think he'll get a penalty for that, because where's he supposed to go?
Yeah, obviously he had a massive moment, and then he arrived on the scene. I'll leave that for the steward.
Sorry, I've just seen Tice Hodge has got a 10-second time penalty then for contact with Rick Kuznetsov on lap 5.
There you go. This is something interesting. We were seeing these penalties, and we touched on the fact that Sam Blacklock, he's got one as well. So I'd be in the mindset of to get that over and done with fairly quickly, because if you get caught out with a safety car, that could bite you.
It absolutely could. They've driven brilliantly here through 8 laps. worth of racing action. It's almost as if everyone's been forced to concentrate harder, and the driving standard has gone up because of it. Widders now into the pit right now, and we focus here with your leading duo. Ryan O'Sullivan's just keeping himself at an arm's length. Now, this looks like to be the Tyce Hodge incident then with Kuznetsov. This is coming down into Ravazza, and you can see Hodge is charging at a rate of knots, and he's push, and when you're out in the grass, God, how's everyone, what a heads-up driving that is, just to open the steering and not allow that to be a multi-car pile-up.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you know, if you lose, you know, a little bit of time just backing out of it, the last thing you want to do is get collected in a situation like that. So good heads-up, very observant driving for those drivers around that could see that car coming. So absolutely well done.
Yeah, it's wonderfully constructed out there at this moment, and there's Kurt Stenberg now trying to give his focus and everything he can at the moment in 6th position. He's trying to work his way up with Marcelo Rivera at this moment in time, saying, look, I can move on up the order. I can find myself now into a position. He's going to jam on the brakes. He's going to get very close up underneath as he now looks to try and figure out where is he going to go and get by. But because this group has now cleared Jack Widders and he's now down in the pit, this is going to be a group that's now going to go, right, we've got a little bit of freedom to truly show what our pace is. They've already dropped 13 seconds off the lead.
Yeah, absolutely. He's Tenny using some of that TTR energy. I held my breath for that moment, but he got away with it. Looks cool as a cucumber up on the wheel. Here we go back to Sam Blacklock. Again, that 10-second penalty hanging over him. I don't know, if I was the team, I'd like to have him in and get that penalty over and done with. Oh, it's like they were listening to me. There you go. So he dives into the pit lane.
Yeah, and he is going to be followed down in by Wayne Walker. So here on lap 9, making that call. We are about halfway through the weather system here on lap 9. So 6 laps in. I reckon it's going to be another 6 to 8 laps before we get the rain to stop. So that'll be just before halfway. And then there's no rain on the radar after that, so the track will dry through the second half of this race, and I think that's what drivers are banking on, holding their second stop as long as they can. This might be a case at this first stop, get that car filled up as much as you can to only have to worry about a tyre change and that amount of fuel at the final stop.
Well, you're spot on there, Jake, too, and also having that chance of stretching these wet tyres if the track is in that transition stage from wets to slicks. You can stretch that pit stop out with that extra fuel on board, and hopefully if the track goes that way, you can switch to slicks and you don't get penalised by making a third pit stop if you happen to go to wets and then back to slicks.
I've never seen a track temperature this cold in the wild. It's only a 17-degree track temperature out there at the moment. It is cold out there, and it is going to take time to get tyres into an operating window. Penalty officially served by Sam Blacklock. Your leaders then currently are focused at this moment in time. They are working their way down to Ravazza corners once more. Ryan Bettis hasn't even so much as been thrown a lunge down the inside. O'Sullivan is just patiently waiting for his chance. He knows he doesn't have to do anything right now. He just knows he's got to lead lap 41 and he'll win the race.
Absolutely. These two are just driving an absolutely smart race because they've got no pressure around them. I think Ryan is pretty confident that he's not going to get a throw up the inside from O'Sullivan. So you've got to be careful with the Ryans and the Ryans. That's right. But they're doing everything right. They've got a margin over Jake Burton. They've got no pressure. Ooh. They know that this race is going to evolve. They've still got 2 pit stops to make. They're just hitting their markers, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, Marcelo Rivera has been given a 10-second time penalty for the contact that he has had with Jack Widders, and I think he is desperately unlucky.
Yeah, that's why I was hesitant to say I think he'd get away with it, because obviously he saw the car had a moment in front of him. He did have a chance where he could have checked up or made an attempt to check up, and possibly the stewards didn't see it that way. I always say that, you know, stewards, they got the hardest job in the world, and yeah, look, at the end of the day, Marcelo's not out of it yet. Things can still go his way, but obviously that makes things really difficult for tonight.
Vermilion Esports then on the focus as we go. This is Will Buchanan and Leo Duncan at the moment. On board with Duncan, heading into the Tozer corner here. This hairpin, possibly the most underratedly difficult corner in the world of motorsport, because you think it's easy to put the power on the exit, but you just get a bucket of uphill on the exit. It's so easy to spin the car to the inside. You have to feather the throttle more than you would do at other corners.
The characteristics of this racetrack is what new racetracks are lacking these days, where you've got the undulation and the off camber and all the rest of it. I love that these tracks like this have got so much character, and unfortunately we just don't see that in the new circuits of today.
No, and so sometimes when you're looking at these new designs of circuits, you're trying to incorporate elements of great circuits, but it's almost that it feels placid in a certain way. It's nice, but it's not brilliant. That's heavy over the curb behind them, actually, there from Tice Hodge, who was trying to be as aggressive as possible to go and gain as much time as you can need. As we go back over to Jack Widders, he's 21st with Wayne Walker. They've both served a pit stop. Bettis fastest lap of the race then on the 57.7, so it shows that there is pace in the tyres here, even if you are 10 laps into the stint.
That's it, and that's got to do with a lot of the conditions of the track, and we can still see on our camera lens that the rain is still falling too, so that's obviously helping them. But yeah, these cars that are continually doing laps around here, they are clearing a bit of a racing line on here. And yeah, we're seeing time in the racetrack, so that's actually good. Oh, we see a dive up the inside. Is that Jack Widders?
It will be, and that will be a very nice pass then to hold itself secure, and a must-make move then gets made, and behind that is Aaron Borg, and he hasn't yet made a stop, and so Wayne Walker will want to get through P, D and Q at this moment in time. This is where you're getting those different strategies come in. Drivers who have pitted, drivers who have not, and the differences of learning between how do you race against drivers who don't have inherently the same pace as you?
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? You got to be smart, and especially on nights like this where it's so tricky. You can see the amount of positions. It's so easy to lose. So you've got to be smart and race the people around you, and it's tricky, isn't it? And especially if you're talking about the pace difference and the visibility, that's where you can get caught out as well. As you get on the power thinking that the guy in front of you is doing the same, but if they're not quite lapping like you are, it's easy to make nose to tail contact.
It very much is. Ireland, Veld, Houghton, oh yes, close. Then running through then at the curve of Grassini, and there's going to be no drive on the exit here for Hayden Veld, so Josh Houghton's got a really good chance then to go and make this pass sorted, but as they work themselves down the hill over towards Ravazza, he's just not close enough to be able to make that one work. So you're looking for overlap really through that section, and none of the straights really around this circuit of Imola are ever truly straight. So even at the places where you're supposed to think you have a brake, Sandman, you don't. That's what makes this a truly great driving track.
Yeah, that and the fact that if you hit a puddle and you can get a little bit of a twig in the steering wheel, even though you're trying to fight for a straight, like you said, the car's always moving around in these conditions. So even like you said, you get to a straight part, you're still working the wheel.
Yep, and it's still working on as Duncan and Buchanan continue on their scrap here for 14th position. They're really working hard to make something happen. Brody Sentence is about 5 seconds down the road behind them. Tice Hodge is the one who's staying there, but has the 10 seconds to serve out there at the moment. And actually give some credit here to Brody Sentence in a scrap with Ross Rizzo at the moment, working through that Villeneuve chicane. Really difficult because you've got to scrub the speed through the second half of that chicane where it's at its tightest, and he's driving a very accomplished race right now in P16. That is a gain of 17 as it currently stands. Right, let's watch the wheel here. This is Brody Sentence. Look how hard you're going to have to fight. Full opposite lock, Sandman.
Mate, how he still kept that going. He grabbed so much opposite. That was on the locks, I reckon. Just absolutely grabbed us sideways but held onto it. That was great driving. That's heart and mouth stuff, no doubt about that.
Yeah, you just panic and hope that you're able to catch that grip because the car can snap so easily because you lose the contact patch with the water. Let's have a look at it from the outside. Look at that. That is fully through the water. That's skid pan stuff.
Yeah, that is. And, mate, lucky to get away with it. He'd be thanking his lucky stars, I think, now. So, just push on and put that behind him now.
Right, I just want to go back up to the front quickly because Ryan Bettis has been lighting up the timing sheets. 57.3 on that last lap. He put a full second into Ryan O'Sullivan.
That's impressive. So he's obviously showing that he's absolutely gelling with the conditions at the moment. and to put that gap on Ryan O'Sullivan, that's pretty good. So for the moment, he's not thinking about pitting because the pace that he's got in the car and the advantage he's got over Ryan Sullivan behind him, for the moment, he's just happy to just tick laps off for the moment.
Look, he's someone who I think walked into it in the interview, Sandman. I don't know about you, but he was very glass half empty in terms of the way he came across in the interview. He is driving glass half full. This is Ryan Campbell then, and he's been shuffled out of line and lent on and holds on to it. Wowee.
I think it's still going. They're going to be racing here into the chicane. And everyone's so far. Oh, it's going to be under brakes, made contact, and around he goes. Oh, they've both done themselves an injustice there. Unfortunately, well, thankfully they got away with it. They didn't hit the wall, but they've lost a couple of spots there.
They have, and so that time is going to be important. I wonder if Ryan Campbell's going to have a little word to the steward saying, come on, we need a little look at that. That wasn't quite fair play in my books. Place made then by Will Buchanan. He's up into, lucky for some, 13th place. They're making that move. Blake Warboys, remember, who had that issue on lap 1. He's now managed to get himself back with Wayne Walker, and there's a driver in the 63 as he goes up the hill, gets the pass. He'll be looking at this. He will be, quote-unquote, visor down, red mist descending. I am going to go for every place I can. A live look at points on the right.
Yeah, and lucky to get away with it. He's only got a little bit of right front damage there, but thankfully he got away with it with the least amount of damage. So, mate, you hold your breath when you see a situation like that, especially so early on lap 1 of the race. But, yeah, like you said, it's now just head down, bum up and push on and see what he can grab from tonight.
Chris Ireland would be on the outside at the moment, so too would Ryan Campbell. He'd fall outside of that range, but Campbell is trying to gain points. He's 2 back of the duo of Angus Lawford and Tom Freer. Look at this as they now try and fight their way down the hill, and still Blake Warboys doing well. Brian Borg's been given 5 seconds, but not much Wayne Walker can do about that. That's just lights out driving to make sure you've got the clearance.
Yeah, good driving by both of them. Wayne Walker again showing some pace here in these conditions. So really taking it to each other. Really good, hard driving. Love it. Love what to see. It doesn't matter where you race in this field. Doesn't matter if you're up the front or down the back. There's always great racing in the Logitech series.
There is, and this is very much a holding weather pattern at the moment, but the rain is due to stop in about the next 3 minutes here. So around lap 15, we're expecting lap 16 that the rain's going to stop and the track's just going to dry out from there. So how quickly that dries is the next question. 4 on the floor then for 6th place. Poulton, Stenberg, Boudica and Ryan Jones giving it what they can at the moment. This battle about 22 seconds off the race lead. They fight through the curve of Grassini, and for the moment nobody able to get within about 3.5 tenths of a second of the car in front.
Tell you what, if Kurt Stenberg doesn't pull his finger out, he might have the likes of Philippa right behind him very shortly. Philippa's been doing really great. P8 now with a couple of pit stops that have played out, and she's brought herself into the top 20 in points overall. So she's having a great moment, a great race at the moment. And I think Stenny might want to flick the rear view mirror and don't want to look backwards because it looks like she's coming. She's got a little bit of pace.
And there off the back, Ryan Jones is going to depart and hit pit lane for the first time. Everyone except now Ryan Jones is in the pit. That's your top 16 who have all yet to pit then for their first of 2 stops out there. There's no requirement on fuel, but actually that becomes an interesting point on fuel. Extra weight in the car gives you downforce in wet conditions. It gives you something that gives stability to the car. Lighter the car is more likely you are to spin it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the days where you do want that little bit of extra fuel, exactly like you said. Just have that weight over the rear tyres and it can work in your favour. So for the moment, yeah, a nice heavy tank is the way to go.
7.6 seconds then in the stop for Ryan Jones. That was a short stop out there. I wonder whether that was a case of I'm going to fill the car up to full. I'm just going to get myself a tiny little top up as minimum as I can and then continue on with it as far as a race like this goes. Chastity there, 19th, then Widders. Then you can see charging through Blake Warboys in 21st. And now you're seeing here every group trying to fight. There goes the Lobs car. Remember Brad Newman out there? He's still in this race. He had to start from the back. That's a pass for 24th.
Disappointed, mate. I was waiting for you to say hello, Newman. Any of those Seinfeld references out there? So, yep, here he goes.
That's too old for me. Sorry, Sam. That's too old for me.
I'm showing my age now. Oh, no.
Josh Houghton, by the way, he's through. He's into 10th place. He's got by Chris Ireland through Aqua Minerale. So that one, a good change for Josh. And it looks like he's got it done either handsomely or there's been a mistake from Ireland.
Just going to see a replay here. There might have been a mistake. We go to the OGG replay. Whoa, wiggle. He's got himself wide. And it's a nightmare to try and get the car turned. You know you need to be on the racetrack. It's just so hard. Thankfully, he's rejoined. There's been no other drama, but so easy to do in that part of the racetrack.
And they're so cruel with the way they've set up the track down at that section, Sandman, because they've put a tiny strip of grass there on the outside instead of just pure runoff. It makes it impossible in these conditions to get back on.
Just to keep you honest, but look at what we've got on screen right here. Ryan O'Sullivan, who was nose to tail with our race leader, now he's got pressure from behind. Jake Burton is on the charge and going to get back to the back of Ryan Sullivan. So it's going to get very dicey here in the next few laps.
I don't think it's because Jake Burton's been lightning fast. I think it's because Ryan O'Sullivan, I think, burnt through the tyres in the early stages of that race, trying to stay with Ryan Bettis. Remember, he pulled back that gap of about 2 seconds to get to the rear of Ryan Bettis, Sandman. And then the moment that he couldn't keep that up, Jake Burton, similar to the times of Ryan Bettis, he's just pulled it back.
Yeah, you're exactly right, mate, because Jake Burton, when he got that position P3, it was about 5 seconds the margin, and it's only gone to 5.7, so or 5.61 now as I say that. But you're exactly right. It's Ryan O'Sullivan who's falling back into the grip of Jake Burton.
And Brian Jones, one lap undercut, has pulled nearly 2 seconds over Philippa Bukida there. So that's a huge gap gain then on an undercut. And actually, that might be a concern for other drivers in this field. If the undercut is that strong here in the first stint, I'd probably be looking at that pit box going, it looks kind of nice right now.
Yeah, it's that. So it's fresh tyres, but it's also those warm tyres. Cold tyres around here in the wet are a nightmare. So when you come out on cold tyres, you are struggling for grip.
Yeah, so if you're struggling, that's going to be difficult. We are getting word that O'Sullivan maybe is just in a race preservation mode at the moment. Take the points and see how it comes. You've got to remember that Ryan Jones also had a bit of a shorter stop. It's getting busy around Chris Ireland. Veld, Pereira, you got Chastanuff, Widdus, Warboys, Walker. Right now, it's a case of everybody on the pack. As far as it goes then through this section of the road. It is absolutely chock-a-block through here.
Yeah, but if some of these drivers are thinking about a pit stop, or they've already made theirs, so in this pack, so this is with the ideal time. Unfortunately, they've got one more to go, but you're not going to make your second pit stop. But if you're in a pack like this, ideally you'd want to get out of the train and make your pit stop. But this is where everyone's rejoined and made their stop. So still too early at the moment. Lap 17 of 41, a lot to play out, and they are in a heap of traffic.
Good pass there from Jack Widdus. He's through on James Chastanuff, and another move that goes out there and makes a very good pass. So there is that to say. But now O'Sullivan, here's the threat as they now try and figure out a bit of side-by-side potentially. Burton then is going to get himself then a chance down the inside, easy as you like, up to the Curva Grassini. A nice pass and up to second. Jake Burton can now set his sights on Ryan Bettis, who leads this race.
Yeah, really smart heads-up driving there by O'Sullivan. He knew that Bake had a bit of pace, so he's like, off you go. There you go. Let's take that pressure from behind and get rid of that. And now he can just be eyes forward.
He very much can, and there's the look down the inside of Pereira from Jack Widdus. He forces the inside at Tozer, will climb up the hill. Warboy's trying to follow in line as well as he tries to figure out James Chastanuff, and he's not going to get that. Pereira is, though, going to lose that spot. Lovely pass. Leo Duncan, then and in comes Jake Burton from second. It's close as they go over the top of Piratella. Just racing room given between them, and it's held by Widdus.
He kept him honest, didn't he? He put the nose right there just to have Widdus think about it, but at the end of the day, they got away with it. And we said Burton in the lane, and it's going to be interesting to see how much longer the rest of the front runners take before they make their first pit stop, lap 18 of 41.
9.6 seconds in the box from Jake Burton, about a couple seconds longer, than what we saw from Ryan Jones, and he's going to be off and away again in relatively clean air. And William Sapstead, I think, is going to have exactly the same position as well, because a lot of drivers behind have made their call to come down in. Kurt Stenberg in, Leo Duncan, Josh Houghton, all of them making their calls to come down into the pits, get their first stop done at lap 18. This race only gets easier from here.
It'll be good, interesting to see what Burton does at the end of this once these pit stops play out. There was about a 6-second margin between him and Ryan for first and second. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see. It's going to be a little bit of a sketchy first lap for Burton as he gets those temperatures back up. But very, very interesting part of the race now where everyone starts to tick off these first round of pit stops.
Yeah, and now they're trying to figure out where the moves are. Will Buchanan's back in the pack, and he is absolutely in the middle of all of this with the likes of Angus Lawford and co. They're just in front. Lawford now looking for a run on Leo Duncan, who's fresh out of the pits here and maybe a little bit vulnerable. One goes round the outside. Is it going to be two? Round the outside. Oh, fantastic. What a pass on Leo Duncan from Lawford and Buchanan.
Yeah, that was confidence in his tyre and the grip, everything, and he just went to the outside, got the job done. Brilliant move, made it look ridiculously easy, but I can tell you it's not, and a lot of give and take from all those drivers. That was really well done. O'Sullivan,
yeah, and Lawford's going to get another one here because that's Tice Hodge that he's going to jump through. In comes Ryan O'Sullivan then for that first stop, and Hodge really struggling at the moment to get any form of pace down through the corners. You're not going to be using the spoiler as much. Big lunge down the inside. Oh, wow, a pass there from Rick Kuznetsov, who is taking no prisoners at this moment. He wants moves, he wants places, and he says, I'm going to boogie all night long with moves like that.
There we go. So that's Ryan O'Sullivan coming out of the lane. So it's Jake Burton in front of him. Now, I don't know if he was going to have more drama, but that was very, very close as we cut away back to this this vision of Jake Burton and Ryan O'Sullivan. So how much longer is Ryan Bettis going to stay out? I would imagine it'd be another lap or so. He's still, because he's actually coming up to traffic, so he's probably, if he's smart, he might sort of dive into pit lane and then not have to worry about traffic.
Little malfunction there for the Brian Borg, who runs off the road a little wide. Kurt Stenberg then back out and away just in front of Philippa Bukada. So that is going to give her an opportunity then to start really hunting down and saying, what can I do to go and get that 9th place back? We do note then in terms of where they are, we wait on Bettis, Rivera and Poulton to make those stops. And Jack Widders has come back out basically 13th. War Boys 16th. So still really good on the recovery, still to be within the mid-teens. They'll be eyeing up a top 10 potentially here in this one. But look at the work that is being done here. Chuck a blanket on them. Oh, and a bit of afters then on the exit then as Chastanerf, I believe it was, getting there the angle as they go up the hill over towards that next section. You can see the fight. Tom Freer then, who is in and around with Wayne Walker, gets the move done on Walker.
Now, from our pictures, I think we can see that I think the rain may have stopped actually falling, and this is what the halfway mark of this race. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting getting right to the dying stages of this race. We go to our live radar, and that's the rain that's pushed through. So there's no more band of rain behind that for the moment. So there will be eyes on the track as far as these conditions. Obviously, way too wet at the moment for slicks, but who knows? Come with a couple of laps to go, you never know what the conditions could be.
Well, it's moderately wet at this moment in time, and we will focus on drivers who would have made 2 stops already and said, look, that's the way this race is going to work out for me. Wow, look at that from Tom Freer. That's just wonderful.
Mate, I thought he had a locked front there. I thought he was going to spear straight off, but he held onto it. So he's got the power down, making his way down. When we say the front straight, it's not much straight there, in a little bit of curve to the right as past pit entry. And look at that, just that vision out the back there as he puts the competition in a wall of spray, and he's just eyes forward for Tom Freer.
Yeah, he knows he's just got to make places. He's a driver who's very close on the points, and so every position is going to add up by the time he reaches the checkered flag. So a good move on James Chastaneuf. He now just has to do a bit more with it to now get himself to the likes of Warboys, of Houghton, of Pereira, and say, that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm looking at those next 3 spots and saying I can hold the pace of those in front. So you're looking down the order, and I see 4 names that have yet to make a stop. Bettis, Rivera, look, it's sunshine. We got a hole in the sky. The heavens have opened, and they've said, wow, I bless you with great racing.
Yeah, if we can get a little bit of sunshine on this racetrack, and obviously if this wind keeps up, that will dry this part of the racetrack out. So, oh, here we go. Great battle here, side by side. Newman and Walker.
And it's Brad who's going to end up the winner of that one there, as he comfortably dispatches of Wayne Walker, who I think is going to be going backwards. And Rivera's just gone off, at turn 1. He's had to completely abandon the chicane.
Oh, dear. Yep, he's got away with it, though. No damage to the race car, but exactly what you said. Just had to take that shortcut, barrel through the gravel trap. And how nice is it? A little bit of sunshine on this racetrack.
Oh, it's lovely. And so that rain is going to be gone immediately. A look here. So he's lost it on entry. Oh, my goodness. How have you been able to keep that out of the barriers? The wheel work there would have been immense.
His heart rate will still be through the roof after that one. Thankfully got away with it. How that snap didn't fire him into the wall is beyond me, but lives to fight another day. Here we go, on board. Watch this. The OG gear replay. Turns the kick. What does he do? Oh, he touches that painted line on the outside. Oh, my goodness. So lucky that there's so much runoff there and able to just straight line that chicane. He'll take the penalty and push on.
And Sandman, who said turn 1's not a corner around here?
That was heart and mouth stuff, wasn't it?
It was. Stenberg then still holding the margin, and holding the margin quite nicely at the moment at the front of this one, with in 9th place, with Bukida then just trying to follow and give that chase. I think this is a much different race to what we've seen from the opening 2, which were very much knife fights in phone booths. This one's a little bit more drawn out. This one's going to need a bit of strategy to get it sorted. In saying that, though, Houghton and Warboys now going to be having themselves a little bit of a moment as they come up the hill. It's Houghton on the inside, it's Warboys on the outside. 2/3 of a car length cleared, but you're going to have to rely on grip on the exit here, and that's where the margin's going to be. Aqua Minerale is going to be Warboys all day long, and twice here on a Wednesday night. It's going to get that move done.
Wow, that is not where I thought he was going to get the pass done, but great job there. I think Freya was looking in front of him saying, mate, if you two come together, I'll be gifted 2 spots, but it didn't happen. Nice, clean driving.
Yeah, very nice driving there between them, and you can't really argue too much more about it. They've had to do well. Look at the wiggle over the curb there by Tom Freya. He is pushing to try and stay with these drivers, but you can't over-push around a circuit like this. This is a circuit where flow state's got to come to you. The moment you start trying to wrestle this car around this place, you know, you're just going to find yourself in more and more troubles. Ross Rizzo in for his first stop of the race.
I'm interested to see Ryan Bettis is still out there at this stage as we go to an OG gear replay. Whee! Hodge, hold on to it, baby. He did a good job. Lost a little bit of track position, lost 1 spot, but still got away with it. What a slide. But yeah, I'm curious to see how much longer that Ryan decides to stay out, because obviously he's got 2 stops to make. These conditions are changing. I don't know if he's going to do a quick stop on wets, or does he wait till it dries out? I don't know. It's going to be really, really interesting. Lap 22 or 41. I can't imagine he'd still have too much more fuel in it. No, there he goes. He's in the lane.
Well, his gap is just a shade under 40 seconds here to Jake Burton. I think that's the margin he's looking at, and how much an advantage he'll have on cold tyres. Now, roughly, we've seen a lane transfer of about 37 seconds. 37 and a half was Jake Burton's. On prediction, I reckon it's going to be about 2 seconds, the difference as they come out. But we'll just have to wait and see how long this stop is going to be from Ryan Bettis. 6 seconds already, he's gone, and he's still looking here at this, and he's only just now slow crawled away. 9.5 seconds, Rivera fastest lap, but remember, he's got 10 seconds of penalty. Again, 10.6 seconds. So this one, it's not even going to be close as he gets himself up to speed here. Look at that.
but the margin would have closed up significantly. It's going to take another lap for these tyres to come up, and Burton, just trying to see the margin, it was 6 seconds before that pit stop, so he's still got distance on him. But you're right, we probably thought it was going to be a little bit closer. As we say that, Jake Burton's just put the fastest lap of the time, 1:57.2, so fastest lap of the race so far.
Yeah, so he's clearly in a push mode at the moment, but the gap is 7 seconds at the moment on circuit. So it looks like this one has worked out in favour of Ryan Bettis then through the opening round of stops. So I'd look around at that and say, yeah, good job, but I have just seen a slither of blue on the horizon that might come back late. So they're going to have to hope that that slither of blue does not hit in the final stages of this race on the radar. But right now, they're just hoping that this track dries and it offers up a little bit of a something, because say what you want about this race, Ryan Bettis has bossed it from the start of this race to this point now. 23 flawless laps.
It's remarkable, isn't it? And what you touched on before when we spoke to him at the start of this race, he didn't seem confident at all. But he was obviously in the best place of the grid, P1. He said he wasn't too flash about his starts. He was worried about his start. And he was just hoping for a top 10. But he's been dominant. He got a great start, and he hasn't really been pressured for the whole race.
Well, let's put this into Dylan Pereira's shoes at the moment. Here's a driver who's been constantly pressured over the course of this race. He's a minute off the race lead as it currently stands, and climbing up the hill to Piratella Corner. This is where you are starting to wonder whether Pereira has enough tyre to hold in this one. Houghton now having to defend a little bit behind as well, and this is what you call here for Josh Houghton being stuck in Schrodinger's overtake. You must attack and defend at the same time, and every time it catches me out. Every time they're taking a wider line into the corner as in comes Dan Poulton to make his stop. They're taking a wider line for Aqua Minerale to avoid the rubbered up surface of the racing line.
These drivers will manipulate this track as much as they can to get the best grip, obviously, in their favour. So always seeking these race car drivers. Great to see. And, not on the grass, so that's the last place you want to be.
No, Josh is trying to find every angle. He is trying to think that there is every opportunity to go and get it. And the last place you want to be on a wet circuit is on the grass, because that wheel slip, you just think about it the wrong way and you are in a barrier, left, right, and ultimately you're seeing sky ground ditch.
Exactly right. He's got a little bit of pace here. He's going to try and look for a move up the inside, and he does get that now. As we see, Marcelo Rivera is the only driver to still make, he hasn't made one stop yet. So I don't know if he's banking on a safety car, and that's exactly what I was going to talk about, Jake. I can't believe we're lap 24 with the conditions that we've already seen, and we haven't seen the safety car yet.
I think it's forced drivers to play on the straight and narrow, and they haven't done anything too untoward, and it's also scrubbed a lot of speed off around this circuit, and that's something else that hasn't really been talked about, because they're lowering the speeds on a circuit that is naturally a lower speed, a higher downforce style circuit, as Freer almost pushes Pereira through Tosa Corner. You're not going to see those big incidents of 3, 4, 5 cars where it's going to pan out to be a massive incident, and Pereira's just lifting this one off and letting him go. I don't want to fight you, you're not my race.
Yeah, love it. That's probably exactly what you were just talking about. Smart driving from everyone on the grid. Fight the battles you think you can win, and don't bother fighting the ones that you can't. So that was great. Just get out of it. Oh, we see. Oh, I nearly got collected. Unbelievable. Blake Warboys came in there in all sorts of trouble and almost drilled him. They both had separate incidents, but nearly ended up in each other's lap.
It's the sort of place where you think you can just stress the margin a bit more, and you can't at Aqua Minerale. Both of them drop numbers of positions, but that one would have been very scary. This is Ireland's incident then, as he hits the brakes down the hill. He's just too aggressive over the curb, and then the back steps around because he's pretty much tiptoeing through that section. Here comes Blake Warboys. He comes to the scene of the crime. God, a second and a half later, and Ireland would have had a grill full of Warboys.
Yeah, same versus so unreal. They almost carbon copied each other and nearly ended up in each other's lap. The one thing I do notice that Jake's gone quicker again, fastest lap of the race, and that margin is now closed to Ryan Bettis. It's down to about 4 seconds now, so Jake is on the charge.
Brad Newman in then for that final stop of the race. Poulton P6 will be very happy with where he's come out by comparison. He's just ahead though of Ryan Jones as that one goes. So he'll be very happy that he's in that 6th place for one performance, who have clearly got a set here for rain that everyone else is going to be the green eye envy of out there in this one. Kurt Stenberg as well behind that in 8th place is trying to get with this, or a 3-car gap. But that 3-car gap, let's put this into perspective, is half a minute off your race lead.
It's crazy, isn't it? You look at those margins, and of course we see Marcelo Rivera, he's dived into the lane, so this is the first of his 2 stops. So this will plummet him down the order. Yeah.
He will absolutely fall down the order. Chris Ireland then in a scrap right now with Josh Houghton at this stage. Houghton is going to give himself everything he can to try and move up to 12th. This has been Ireland's bogey corner. He's had 2 issues there, and there's a third as he just runs on through and somehow saves the cover. He's going to have no drive off the exit and up the hill. Cookies, that's mine. He steals one.
Yeah, and he covered his line into the braking zone. So smart driving there. As now we see Ryan Bettis, he's gone fastest lap of the race now. So between him and Burton, they're taking it on. Have a look at this margin in here. These guys just giving each other a little bit of racing room, trying to get the power down. As we see a little bit more sunshine on this racetrack, but still plenty of water you can see kicking up from the tyres.
It's going to take a while. Track is declared as lightly wet at the moment. It's very lightly wet that they are searching for at this stage. Rivera out of the pits. He's going to fall outside then into 8th place as he rejoins circuit. Stenberg having a really good look at Ryan Jones there for that one, but just couldn't quite get there. Kurt Stenberg might be the most experienced racer in all of V8 racing on iRacing.
He's right up on the wheel. I love his camera. I've been in love with it ever since we've seen him debut it, and you can just see, look at him. He's going to go for a move up the inside, right on board. You can see him make the move up the inside of Ryan Jones, turns it in, very confident with the car, and now just got to get the power down. Easy to spin the tyres here. Jones doesn't think much of it. They give each other another day to push on, but really great move there from Stenny.
Yeah, we had it in the chat, actually. It was almost like the old school wet karting line. He's trying to lean over the fronts to give him a bit more front grip out there. Very much that case. Bukada then is going to be looking around and saying, look, even I'm going to get Marcelo Rivera for position. Rivera back down to 9th. And whoa, there goes Steady. Straight off on the inside, on the outside. And just like that, the game just changes, and that's just a white line.
Oh, my heart goes out to you, Stenny, but you're not the first and you won't be the last that's been caught out in that section of the racetrack. It has claimed so many drivers. It's so easy to do. Unfortunately, the car just got away from him, but he lives to fight another day.
Critically, it's only a drop halfway along. We'll take a look. This aerial perspective tells you all you need. You can see he's trying to get it slowed down. He's just caught the white line.
Everyone's done it. Everyone's done it. You're just on that braking zone. You touch the painted line and you're a passenger.
Now down to 10th. It will be a case of how do I gather this back up? Jack Widdus is behind him by a couple seconds, who will be desperately hunting a way back in. Now, here's one of the Vermilion cars then who have run into trouble, and this looks like it's going to be a carbon copy issue out. Look, it's a carbon copy.
Exactly. If you overlay both those shots, I guarantee they'll be almost pin perfect. Yep, it's so easy to do. Unreal.
Ryan Bettis here, watch that gap. It's coming down. It's now 4 seconds, now 3.7. 7 tenths lost on lap 24. Kind of stayed at parity over the last couple of laps, but Jake Burton is really working hard here. 56 fives between them right now, and Ryan Bettis knows that he is in a race and he has got to try and hold. Wet pace, flawless. Drying track, Jake Burton's starting to find himself back into range, as now, welcome to the back of the group here, Hayden Veld.
Yeah, Veld, Marcelo Rivera, all on the back of Philippa. So Philippa's probably just struggling this part of the racetrack. I know that it wasn't long ago that Marcelo came out on new tyres, so his tyres will be up to temperature now, really putting the pressure here. So all three of them into the most treacherous part of the racetrack. We've seen this claim so many drivers. It's nose to tail. They're all trying to get on the power as much as they can, as gentle as they can. And the car, they're all just fine in the car, trying to find the grip.
They just need anything in front of them, and as well, there's going to be a lot of scrubbing from the way they go through. Burusud plays Evolution, plays Eclipse out there at this point, and now as they fight off the exit of the Curva Grassini and down towards Ravazza, you're starting to try and posture for a lane. You're looking for an angle. This is a constant chess game that they're playing right now. They are looking for any angle that's there, and that's deep into the corner, contact into the back there of Bukida there. Rivera had came in at a rate of knots. Bukida was sliding about through that section, and now look at the drive off the exit. Bukida realizes, look, I don't need to fight this one. I'll pull out of line. Marcelo go through and now lead us over to the next group.
Yeah, unfortunately, just got into the back of Bukida, but, you know, he was smart enough where he got out of it, gave the position back, and unfortunately, she just had a wiggle onto the front straightaway and then got past. So dropped 2 spots there. But you know what? That's not a bad thing, because at the end of the day, she's now inside. Well, she's in 20th at the moment. So she needs a good points position. She's got no pressure at the moment from behind. Just eyes forward. She's only got 14 laps to go. Grab as many points as you can, Philippa, and fight on to next week.
And you look at it like that, okay, you're still 42 points back of Rain Campbell, but let's put it like this into perspective. There are drivers out here who are only scoring 36 points by comparison. Brad Ratu, 40 points is nothing.
Yeah, exactly right. And, you know, you don't know what's going to happen next week. And, you know, we've still got another 14 laps to go. So, you know, it's so easy. We've seen in the conditions time and time again where people are making these little mistakes. So if you can just drive to your own race and not worry about what everyone else is doing around you, as we check that live radar, look at what we see there. Is that a little bit more of rain maybe heading our way?
It's a tiny, tiny patch of rain, but the question will be, will time run out before that patch indeed finds itself around and arrives? That's where you're starting to weigh up, is it or is it not? And, you know, they don't have that ability in sim, as we're going to get a little bit of an OG gear replay as Burton sets another fastest lap of the race as we watch. I think this is Buchanan who might have run into a couple of troubles here at Toza. Oh, he's just overcooked it in the gravel. Now, we've seen many a driver beach it in there. He's managed to get out without any trouble at all, but it's not like you can do in the real world here, Sandman, and just walk into the paddock, hold your arm out as Rivera gets into the back of Ryan Jones and say, oh, it's not raining, I'm okay. This is going to be a big scrap here and towards Tamburello.
Marcelo's got some pace here at the moment. So all over the back of Ryan Jones, trying to take this 6th place. Everyone's still yet to make a second pit stop. So it's catch-22 as far as, do you wait to see if this track dries up, or do you go in and just get the wets?
I don't think it's dry enough. I think you're just going to have to lay in the bed that you're lying in at the moment. Everyone's going to be now starting to run more towards the racing line here, and this is where it gets dangerous on a drying track, because if you step off of the dry line, and it has formed out there, your tyres just get dosed in water, and those wet tyres, the grooves on them, as look at this down the inside. Hayden Veld is going to go steaming in at a rate of knots. Hold on to your hat, because he's going to go and get it, mind you, up to Piratella. Wonderful stuff from the Eclipse Sim Sport driver, but if you go off the racing line, your tyre's cool, and you've got effectively a semi-slick at the moment.
Yeah, it's catch-22, isn't it? Because you want to sort of use a little bit of that water to cool down the tyre to sort of preserve it. But like you said, you want the temperature at the same time. So, but with this sunshine, with this little bit of wind, I wonder if we'll get a little bit of a dry line. I don't know that it'll happen in the next 13 laps. But like we said, there is that little chance of rain that might hit the track again. And then, of course, everyone still has to make that second spot.
Yeah, so that spot is going to be so critical. Angus Lawford, he has driven wonderfully in this race. Give him a whole heap of credit for the way he's been driving up through this order here for this. As he looks at Jack Widders in front, he's got Rick Kuznetsov behind, and I would say those two drivers are drivers who should both qualify in on points.
That's something that's been fluctuating all night too, is that live points. We've had it up a couple of times throughout the night, so people will be really focused on that, because obviously we talked about the win and you're in. That obviously takes a lot of pressure off some of these drivers, but you've got to be very mindful. Oh, we look like...
Well, Burton's gone off, and that's going to cost him about 3 seconds here at Toza. So that is going to really hurt on the effort to chase down Ryan Bettis here with 12 laps to go. You can see he's all over the curb trying to chase this one down through the Villeneuve chicane. He hits the brakes and look, it just doesn't give him anything.
Yeah, just couldn't turn it. Goes through the gravel. He'd be kicking himself. But thankfully, he's got a straight race car. But yeah, that margin is now 7.7 seconds.
Oh, Lawford's through now, and he's got himself a whole heap to work with then. Jack Widders is going to be searching then on the back, and he's going to be realising, right, it's now just 3 that I've got to worry about because they're very quick behind. Kuznetsov and Warboys, they're going to be on the path looking to try and get this one, and here comes Kuznetsov to the inside. Oh, just give him a slither, and he'll chuck it down the inside. He throws almost like a dirt track block pass to get it done, and it works a treat.
If I was one of these guys, I'd be diving in the lane and getting this other pit stop out of the way because I just have a look at the amount of water on the racetrack. I don't know that it's going to dry up enough for these guys to go to a slick tyre. So if you're in this traffic, get down the lane, get that other pit stop over and done with, put on a set of wets, get some clear racetrack hopefully, and you can hopefully jump these guys in the lane.
You just need to get the tyres up to temperature. Everyone's holding out for hope, if anything, but also no driver wants to be in the wrong place if a safety car comes out because they know that time will be on their side. Basically, they're all holding it out there because everyone's driven so well. They're all going, well, surely a safety car will come from someone, and at some point it's going to turn around and go, well, what if there isn't?
Yeah, I've been thinking that for 30 laps. I thought for sure we would have seen a safety car, but it hasn't been the case.
Now, here's another question that they've got. What if they go fuel only because they want to keep the heat in the tyres?
Well, I was thinking that for Ryan Bettis, actually, because he was sort of, well, him and Marcelo, they were the two of the, I guess, of the last rounders or the front runners to make a pit stop. So they could absolutely do that. And that could benefit them nicely.
And it's going to be Chris Ireland and Blake Warboys who are going to set the chain reaction off then for final pit stops with 11 laps to go. Ireland then hits his marks and he does so nicely, but now this gives up a little bit of gap in this group now, and it forces 2 and 2. Kuznetsov and Lawford, Widders and Blacklock then are now the group right now, and look at that. I'll have a little drink as I go then in the pits. There, a nice swigger there to go through. Oh, my stop's done. I better get out and away again.
Yeah, the car drops before you know it. You think you got yourself a nice few seconds, but at the end of the day...
Dry? On a dry? Oh, that's going to be big. Oh, look at him. He's almost lost it coming out of the pits. It's the dangerous place because no one runs on it.
I don't know that this track is dry enough. He's a braver man than I at the moment. You can see there is a dry racing line, though. So he's rolled the dice and said, you know what? Let's see what happens.
Oh no, it's not the right condition. Look at it. He's straight off the road, and he is going to have to tiptoe around for a lap to get back in for a set of wets. The gamble does not pay off immediately.
Yeah. Ryan Borg looks like he's going to try it as well. For me,
Widders.
Is that the... Oh, no!
Oh, that's a horrible rejoin. Bang! And it catches a couple more out in that situation. No one in a position to tow, so I think we'll stay green. But Jack Widders, that was a dangerous rejoin.
Yeah, the stewards will look at that, unfortunately. He was trying to pluck a gear and get going again, but unfortunately, and it's like they did a little bit of damage to that car there too. Looks like that right front probably isn't tracking as straight as he'd like. So we go to the OG gear replay. Man, this corner in this section is corned so... Oh, he's had a helping hand, though. So it's been a painted line that's caught so many drivers out. And unfortunately, when he's flicked it around to try to rejoin, he's been in the path and bang.
Nowhere to go for Tice Hodge. He's just stuck there in the middle, hits the brakes, doesn't expect a car to be broadside over the middle of the road, and that pretty much says that as far as it goes. Track is still declared as lightly wet at the moment. Pereira in the middle of a scrap right now with Buchanan and Chastaneuf. Jack Widders, after that hit, in for that final stop.
Yeah, mate, if I was a lot of these drivers, I think I'd be in and putting wets on. 10 laps to go. Even if you've got a wet tyre on board, we still don't know if we're going to get that late little sprinkle of rain. The track's still wet enough for the tyre, so I'd probably hedge your bets, get this tyre on and get that second pit stop over and done with in case we get a late safety car.
Yeah, so Jake Burton right now, second. He's 9 seconds off the back. He'll be praying for one to get that win and in ticket, where Ryan Bettis has just had a cold cast iron grip over this race for the entirety of this one. Fastest in qualifying. He has led every lap that he has put himself in front for, and he now looks, Chris Ireland, no shocks. He's back in the lane, and this will surely to put a wet tyre back on. Angus Lawford really scrapping it out now with Rick Kuznetsov. Kuznetsov now through to go and gain that place, and he was ragging on the steering wheel there, trying to fight the torque with counter steer.
Yeah, not leaving anything on the table, but unfortunately, he's just losing a little bit of pace here, and Rick Kuznetsov just pulls away and makes it look a little bit easier on him. So 9 laps to go. Everyone's still to make or most of the field's still yet to make their second pit stop. So we're going to see the lane very, very active in the next lap or two.
William Sapstead, another one who's jumped in. Then Brian Borg realises it's too wet, we might as well. But if you're down that far in the order, Sandman, and you know you're not going to get points anyway, and you need to gamble on something, there's effectively no risk to go onto a dry tyre in these conditions.
Absolutely. Roll the dice. I mean, obviously, you know, we didn't think the track was dry enough, and they thought that it was. And yes, roll the dice, and if it works, then you look like a genius. But unfortunately, it didn't quite go their way. But it's always worth the risk, you know, if you've got nothing to lose.
Buchanan continuing on with this one. Tice Hodge is looking like he's got damage to go and deal with. There's just been a spinner in front of Jake Burton, by the way. That's Billy Mole, who's gone around for a little bit of a half slide. But Buchanan here, working in 17th place. Top 15. Well, actually, you look around at it, goal of all drivers, top 16 in points, and you're above par for the course.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? I wonder how much longer we're going to have to wait to see our leaders pit, though. What are they going to do? And as these laps get closer to the end, it's more and more likely that I think these drivers will just take a splash of fuel.
Yeah, I think you're in a position now where they'll reach the point of no return, and a black flag has been given to Jack Widders out there, so he will have to come down in. That will be a drive-through penalty then to serve for Jack Widders for that rejoin, and that you definitely cannot do anything for it, as Buchanan deep into the corner. Chastanet very lucky there to just get out of dodge.
Yeah, thankfully they were nice and straight, just a little bit of nose to tail. They get away, live to fight another day. As we go to the live points on the right-hand side of your screen, Philippa in there, P20 for the moment. Jake Burton leading at this stage, and if everything goes to plan for the next 8 laps for Ryan Bettis, he'll get himself a golden ticket into 2026.
That golden ticket looks absolutely stone cast at this moment in time. There's not much you can say about it, but you are seeing here how every place is going to be fought for. Buchanan wants this one, and he wants it desperately here to go and jump through to gain that position and say, look, I want a little bit more out there. I want to get to that P16, and how sweet this pass is. He's really ratcheting up 270 kilometers an hour on the straight, on the brakes, slow it down, get it done, masterful.
That was really well done, especially on the wetter part of the racetrack. I held my breath a little bit there, but he was really confident, had a good brake pedal, got it turned in. Nice job.
And a very brilliant job at that as well, to go and make that pass now. Oh, that's deep. That's really deep into the corner. It's one of the OPR cars. It's not Ryan Bettis, I can tell you that much.
That was Bolton. So he's rejoined the racetrack, got away with it. Again, we've seen so many drivers do that. Easy to do in these tricky conditions, but lives to fight another day. No damage to the car, that's the main thing.
Well, Daniel Poulton here is one of those drivers who I think has actually come down in and made his second stop, because his gap's 40 seconds. Oh, sorry, no, he hasn't, but he'll look around and he'll be 40 seconds off the race lead. Jake Burton not giving this one up, though. 1:55.8, fastest lap, but they are tiptoeing around this one. And the leader, by the way, he's going to be jumping up on drivers like these soon if he's not too careful. So keep an eye on that. Sapstead, leader of those who have made 2 stops, he's currently 11th at this moment in time for Rapid Theft, and I think he's targeting top 5.
Into this braking zone. I just saw that. So Blacklock's just gone through, and I didn't know if... So who's that behind him? Is that Angus? Has had a moment, I think. So we just saw that as the camera turned away. He got up here on the inside, had a little bit of a wiggle, and that's exactly right. Oh, I swapped ends. and then of course he's had to slow down a little bit. As Sapstead's now gone into the 55.4s with fastest lap of the race.
Right, take your pick, Sandman. What sort of tank was that for that tank slapper? I say it was a Sherman.
Yeah, you're probably right. That he got away with it though. He didn't get bogged. He didn't get anything. So, but boy, oh boy, it would have got his attention.
It definitely did. Sam Blacklock, 13th place then, even with the 10-second penalty he has served in this one, and he is just going to be driving what he can. Bukida in, Pereira in, Sentence in, making their stops. Rivera now starting to try and look behind at Hayden Veld, and look at the traffic in front. Now, they are going to be getting blue flags here, and it'll be a case of I've got to try and get by as soon as possible to go and get my clearance. And look at Rivera. Any sort of movement off the deviated line is going to hurt a treat, but critically gets the clearance before Grassini, and Hayden Veld has to sit and wait for the exit.
Marcelo bouncing back from that earlier penalty that he received too. Unfortunately, that's why he's got a little bit of damage to the front of that car. So
Ryan O'Sullivan jumps in from third position. He'll make that stop then, and will look to get his clearance sorted to the end of the race. Some good, strong points. He knows he's within it, and he can be very happy with his top 16 position at the moment. And look at how hard they're having to rag. And now you're getting more drivers deciding, look, now's the time to come in. Hayden Veld makes that call because he needs something to get by Marcelo Rivera.
geez, you just wonder if this race was about another 10 more laps longer and how these conditions could have been different.
Straight on.
He's gone wide.
Again, second time he's done it.
Oh, he struggled to pull it up there and just had to go for the off track there. He'll have to slow down. He's got a little bit of a time penalty, but that's all right. But yeah, he could just see just carried way too much speed into that part of the racetrack and had to bowl the wide.
Yeah, there's not much you can do in those situations. It's pretty much a case of abandon ship. It's like watching a young Sean Tate bowling there into Tamburello.
That's exactly right. So no further action there for Jack Widders there. So he'd be breathing a sigh of relief. That's the last thing you want to. It's bad enough you get a penalty, but when you get a penalty right at the end of the race, that always hurts that little bit more. So you don't get a chance to bounce back from it when it's in the dying stages of these races. So breathing a sigh of relief for a moment.
I'm shocked these drivers are still taking 10, 11-second stops here, Sandman. Oi, and he has a big wiggle again going through. I think he needs to get into the pits. Now he's lost all rhythm. In comes the leader, Ryan Bettis. I think you just got to keep the tyres on at this point. Take a splash of fuel. You save yourself 5 seconds.
Yeah, well, what they might have been light on, so they probably have to carry that fuel to get to the end. But you're right, you want to make that pit stop as short as possible. Both Bettis and Burton, they're in the lane now. So if you've got the fuel to go all the way home, you're not going to bother to take tyres. You're just going to go in and out.
God, still a 9.8-second stop here for Ryan Bettis, and that is a huge stop by comparison. Jake Burton's over 10 seconds here in the lane, so he's had to take a lot of fuel on as well for the final stages of this race. Daniel Poulton has yet to make that stop, but he is going to come out very close to Jake Burton, actually, so keep an eye on this as they will run over towards turn one. He's going to be just behind, and that is a teammate of Ryan Bettis. So the last thing you want when you're on your final run through, suddenly you got the teammate of the guy you're chasing giving you a little bit of, I would say, annoyance just behind.
Yeah, but, you know, knowing that there's still pit stops to play out, you can sort of put that behind you a little bit. So Burton, obviously, he'll be at the point where he's just eyes focused forward. 6.9 or 6.6 seconds now to Ryan Bettis, but 5 laps to go. I don't know. I think he's just running himself out of time, unfortunately. And if it plays out like this will be the second race that Jake's finished second. Obviously, it was a little bit closer in race one, but boy, oh boy, he's got his work cut out for him if Ryan has a very clean race to the end.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's not the end of the world in a championship like this, being the bridesmaid. Of course, it puts him top in points as Bukida sets the fastest lap of the race from 19th position, a 54.8 down there on the board. There's pace late. It's out there for you if you want it. So there is still something to go and work with, and you're seeing the differences right now out there in this one, that everyone is just trying to prioritize that finish of the race here. And the fastest lap changes again. Dylan Pereira, who's outside the top 20, now sits with it. Look at Leo Duncan right now, side by side as they climb Tozer.
Oh, trying to get on the power. You can see the cars wiggling around. They're trying their absolute best. See who's brave enough to get full throttle as much as they can. The track is obviously in the best condition it's been all race. But for the moment, these guys still side by side. They get single file, smart racing. A little splash of rain on the radar, but I don't think it's going to affect this race too much with 4 laps to go.
No, it's definitely not going to be there for those drivers at this stage. And remember, Leo Duncan still has to make that final stop. So the fact that he's gone through on Josh Houghton is very important. Ryan Jones there, and of course, Rain Campbell's there as well, and he's done well to get himself up there. But remember, Rain's still got to make that stop as well. So he's sitting down in this one. He's done brilliantly to get himself back up the order. A splash and dash from him. He'll be very happy. I think drivers will be looking at a splash and dash with, what, 2 laps to go?
Yeah, absolutely. You're not going to bother with tyres here. You're just going to give whatever fuel. Oh,
Hey!
wiggle. He's going to hold on to it. Oh, nearly got into the back of Leo Duncan there. Josh Houghton did a brilliant job. Almost took his teammate out.
You know what? Josh Houghton did so much of a save there, and I heard you go so loud, Sandman, I thought I heard a who.
Unreal. Lucky to hold on to it, but geez, what's that first rule in racing? You never want to take out your teammate. Holy smoke, they almost did that.
Yeah, and the second rule is you say it even louder because you don't want to, and you know that you shouldn't out there. What a save that is, as now those final stops continue to roll on through. Bukida now up into 12th position. She catches a little bit of a slide there coming out of Tamburello. She's trying to hunt down Ryan Jones and Josh Houghton and these drivers here who are doing everything they can to try and put themselves in with a good, strong finish here in round 3. We called it moving day. This one's not been a flashy race from many of these drivers, but when you put the points on the board, you know that sometimes you need to be the engineer rather than the artist to go and get a championship position inside that top 16.
The way the points are out, so Phillip is now in 21st. Obviously, when this all plays out, you want to be in the top 16. So you've got to be there or thereabouts. Obviously, our 4 winners, they get taken out of the points. So at the moment, as it lies, Bettis will take this win. Jake Burton will be leading the points as we see a couple of more pit stops happen now the lane. 3 laps to go. It's really getting into the final stages of this one.
Now, Marcelo Rivera really caught Daniel Poulton there coming down the lane. He was trying to do everything he could to jump, and Rivera actually has jumped Poulton in the stops. Incredible work there from the Evolution Racing Team driver. Daniel Poulton will stare at that and go, well, I've seen a ghost. I can't believe he's jumped me. 5 place 7.5. And Daniel Poulton now is going to find himself just in front of Hayden Veld. Also in the pits then running through is Tom Freer.
This is a good comeback from Marcelo considering what he's been through tonight. But unfortunately, we spoke about the point situation he's in. He's got 0 points up until tonight, and he's only got 1 more round for a win and you're in. So you would imagine that that chance has slipped away from him for this one. So all eyes for him turn to next week.
Good is good, but you need perfect right now if you're Marcelo Rivera. That's what he'll be staring down the barrel of, as that will be the last pit stop, Ross Rizzo. And so after that, everybody will have their mandatory 2 stops sorted and in the books. And so now it's just the road to home, and it's not a long road here around this Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari. It's just a shade under 10 Ks when your leader Ryan Bettis crosses the line. So you're looking around at it and saying, right, don't do anything silly at this point. Don't catch a white line. Don't catch a puddle. Just do what you did 39 laps in a row.
How incredible has this race been, actually? When you think about the conditions that we experienced at the opening laps of this, Jake, we saw some really treacherous conditions in practice throughout qualifying, and it dried up for the race, and everyone's just done a really great job. There wasn't that chaos. You know, obviously there's been little whoopsies here and there. That's expected. Everyone's trying their absolute best. But not to see a safety car in the conditions that we've seen tonight has been just brilliant, and hats off to all the competitors for tonight's race. It's been really good.
It has been a flawless race from all drivers involved. Yeah, there've been a couple of moments, but you expect that in wet weather racing. And now Ryan Bettis here, he's got a margin of 9.5 seconds. Now, I argue this point to you, Sandman. He doesn't have to lap Fitz and Dyke and Widders in this situation. He can sit on the back and not risk the moves.
Absolutely. And it's always scary, though, when you've got people around you. You just want to be You want as drama, you don't want as less drama as you can as you go to the finish line. But you're right, when you know you've got almost 10 seconds up your sleeve, you don't have to worry about getting positions done. You can just take your time and let the laps dwindle away.
Sam Blacklock now is going to try and eye up this one as Bukida is through on Ryan Jones. Jones fading fast in the final stages, and Sam is going to pounce on that. A top 10 for him after all of that today, that would be huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Started the night off with a penalty, so he's bouncing back from that, and the car looks good through this part of the section, and I think you probably get him in before too long.
Well, Ross Rizzo's on slicks, and I note that Brad Newman's up to 15th, and he's quietly done that. Brilliant work from him. But the last lap about to start from Ryan Bettis with a 10-second or 9.5-second margin at the front of this field. Barney will see him and say, look, you got one more left on what has been a truly faultless drive here today in the Logitech G V8 Pro Invitational qualifiers. Still some side-by-side as Wayne Walker scraps it with Angus Lawford. Lawford on the bubble at the moment on live point, so Walker holding that station is going to be critical for everyone around who wants to hope they can find a way through. Not going to find it then over the top of Piratella and down the hill in towards Acqua Minerale. This is going to be tough. You need drive off the exit, but now they can be aggressive on that inside line, and the corner becomes 10 times easier because of the fact you can take the natural line through this corner. You can just manage this race the way that you want to, and up to the Curva Grassini they will go. This fantastic chicane known as the Variante Alta in previous guides. Veld with the fastest lap through on Dan Poulton then as he moves up into 6th place, but the day now belongs to those who thought, I can manage these weather conditions, I can build a car that is going to work for me, and I can hold myself steady. Now through Acqua Minerale goes Ryan Bettis, knowing that he has cleared the car behind him of Fishy Motorsport, Jamie Dyke. He watches Jack Widders just in front, and he will realise that he's only got one strong braking zone remaining in a race like this. We look back and it's still held at the moment from Ryan Jones. Tom Freer is trying to get something late here in this race, and for the moment Jones is happy with where he is at the moment. But go to Ravazza right now, because that was just flawless from today's racing. Nobody can outrace Ryan Bettis. He comes round the final corner of Ravazza 2, and welcome with a golden ticket with arms wide. Ryan Bettis is bullish here at Imola.
Brilliant drive from Ryan. The confidence, he had zero confidence on the start grid. I couldn't believe it when we spoke to him after claiming pole position. He did everything right today, didn't put a foot wrong, grabbed the win, led almost every lap, and mate, huge congratulations, Ryan. Golden ticket into 2026.
What brilliant racing. Jake Burton a bridesmaid again. Ryan O'Sullivan a strong podium, and Marcelo Rivera will get a top 5 even with a 10-second penalty. We go back and see those final battles through the order, because there are still drivers who think they've got something that they've got to prove. Will Buchanan looking for 15th place. He needs to be standing on the brakes from a mile back here to try and get himself that pass. He's through on Brad Newman to go and get that, but he's now going to have to try and find a way past Rick Kuznetsov, and he's not going to get the angle to do so here at Ravazza.
It's been a brilliant race, hasn't it, mate? We've seen a little bit of everything. The conditions been thrown at everyone, but really well-behaved races. The last couple of guys finish across the start-finish line. Absolute cracker of a race. And there's only one more run to go.
Yeah, they've only got one more chance to give themselves a top 16, or to give themselves the one golden ticket that remains here from this Imola circuit. A day where you had a number of drivers try and prove their worth here today, but nobody could touch in these conditions a Rainmaster Ryan Bettis. His one performance racing car, 6.4 seconds clear of Jake Burton, but he well lifted off of it heading towards the end, as it would be Ryan O'Sullivan, the last car on the podium. William Sapstead would finish off in 4th with Marcelo Rivera 5th, and Hayden Veld then in 6th position. He would make the move late on Daniel Poulton, who would finish off in 7th. Kurt Stenberg had an adventurous time with a spin win, but would still manage 8th place, nearly a minute off the pace. Josh Houghton would be 9th, and Philippa Bokada, what a top 10 that is for her. That is a huge confidence booster, with Sam Blacklock and Ryan Jones 11th and 12th, and Tom Freer unable to get close for Synergy Sim Racing there in 13th. Rick Kuznetsov for 9.5 made great progress up through the order, a gain of 10 to be in 14th, with Will Buchanan 15th, and Brad Newman a gain of 24 spots from not being able to qualify due to penalty to finishing it off in 16th. Blake Warboys will think this is one that got away in 17th, Wayne Walker 18th, and then Angus Lawford and Dennis Gatterick make up your top 20 on a close drive between them towards the line. You then had Dylan Pereira and Brody Sentence then 21st and 22nd. James Chastaneuf struggling through these conditions, and Rain Campbell then one who really needed a little bit more from it, as that's 24th. Leo Duncan was up near the order a little bit earlier on, 25th, with Russell Pepperell and Jordan Mazzaroli then finding themselves inside the top 30, with Ross Rizzo, William Brown and Jack Widders the last finisher on the leading lap. Those are lap down, but finishing here today would be Jamie Dyke and Blake Fitz, with also Damien Johnson, Chris Ireland, Billy Mole and Aaron Borg in that mix. Brad Ratu would be 2 laps down after his dramatic moment on just the opening lap of the race. Brian Borg would also be 2 laps down. Your one retiree from this one being Tice Hodge, your one non-starter then being Teo Sorono, with all of what's going on. Your race winner today is Ryan Bettis. He stood by with Sandman.
Ryan, congratulations, mate. What happened there? I spoke to you on the grid. You weren't feeling confident. You were worried about your start. Mate, I think you led every single lap. Congratulations.
Cheers, boys. That was a really good race. Yeah, really happy with that. Performance was great. Yeah, start was great. Kind of stuffed up the second bit, but hey, anyway, won the race still. Happy days.
Mate, and the best news is it's a golden ticket straight in. You don't even have to show up next week. You're straight into the series for 2026. How you feeling about that?
Next week is so good.
Now, mate,
Yeah.
we spoke to you on the grid. It was like you weren't feeling confident. You said you were worried about getting off the line, but you did that. Was it the fear of the rain? Was it you just weren't confident in the car? What was that? Because you didn't have that confidence at all.
Well, I don't really mean these cars. Like, I'm more of a GT and then P Cup driver, so I don't know. These things for me, just starting just is a lot harder. So I was really worried about that. So yeah, but hey, it worked out. I'm very happy.
Well, Jake, is there anything you want to say to Ryan? He drove a faultless race tonight, and when you can lead every lap in conditions like this, you really got to take your hat off to him.
Oh, you absolutely do. Ryan, look, you would be accused of being a little bit glass half empty with all of this and the way that you've been going about this season. But you get conditions like this, you put it all together and drive completely dominantly. What was it about this round at Imola and the team at One Performance that brought this together? Was it something in the setup? Was it just the way that you practiced during the week? What brought this all together for you?
I was just doing laps during the week, doing sessions with Josh Anderson. Massive shout out to him. He's been mega throughout the week. Daniel Polton's been mega with the setup as well. He's probably the setup specialist. So big shout out to him as well. But yeah, massive preparation as well. Like drying, don't know what the weather's going to be like. 2 days before the event comes out, I better do some wet laps. So yeah, that was the preparation. I was very happy.
Very happy with that, and very quickly as well, in terms of being as far away as you can, that final pit stop, were you ending up double stinting on those tyres and keeping the heat in them, or was that just a case of trying to stay out as long as you can and maybe just give yourself a little something at the end?
Yeah, we just stayed on the same tyres. Like, just the tyre warm-up on the wets in this thing is just, it's like 2 laps, I'm pretty sure, either 2 or 3 laps, so didn't really want to lose like 3 seconds on the first 2 laps, so just went out on oldies still, so yeah.
Well, we'll let you get off and celebrate here. Ryan Bettis, what a day there for him. A victory of the highest caliber here in the Logitech G Pro Invitational qualifiers as he gets his golden ticket in towards the main event. Now, we need to talk points coming out of this one, Sandman, as they now stand, because you look at the margin, Jake Burton is there. He is in control. He's got 6 over Sam Blacklock at this moment in time. But they've got over 120 points of margin right now at the front. They just need to start and finish the race, and they are going to be safe.
Yeah, absolutely. The pressure's off these guys. They can sort of, like you said, it's almost a starting, well, not park, because you do need to make the race distance. But at the end of the day, the pressure's off these guys. But when you get down to the bubble where it's outside of the top 16, this is where the pressure's going to be on for these guys, for the likes of Dylan Pereira, Wayne Walker. They know that next week it's in or out. You've only got one more chance, and the pressure's going to be on at the Red Bull Ring.
It very much will do. They are down 16 points. How apt is that to get in the top 16, you got to overhaul 16 points. Philippa Bukada down then by about 40, but you're looking around. I'd probably say up to Will Buchanan has a great chance. I think drivers outside of the top 24 right now, Sandman, they're needing a golden ticket.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the beauty of this format, is that, yes, you might not be in with a shot with the points to make the top 16, but if you can have an absolute cracking race and take the win away, then you are straight into the series.
Now, we must stress, we're not back on Wednesday. We're back in 6 days' time. Tuesday, February 10th is when you will find the final qualifying round, and it will all conduct itself as we head over to the Styrian Mountains at Spielberg. The Red Bull Ring from 7:45 p.m. Australian Eastern. That's going to be when you catch it here with us. And Sandman, talk about chalk and cheese. Go from high downforce to low downforce, from struggle to pass to overtaking city.
Yeah, this track has always produced great racing. It's one of my favourites. I love that this is on the calendar. Really looking forward to seeing what this one's going to throw at us for next week. Everything's going to be on the table. It's a win and you're in situation for a lot of drivers. So really can't wait. Tuesday night, a little bit different, but boy, oh boy, already looking forward to this one.
Yeah, and it's been wonderful here as part of the Australian Sim Racing group, and the coverage brought to you by SimSpeed TV. From everyone who has brought this show over to you today, from the wonderful crew that's been working behind the scenes, from the likes of Jay Kennedy, who's been in production for us, the Hall of Famer, from Sandman, Stephen Clark, who's been alongside me. My name's Jake Sperry. Days like this are what you dream of as drivers. Tough conditions, brilliancy in terms of racing, clean from start to finish, and ultimately a gap that you can say at the end of running of 41 laps, nobody could touch me. I was a whisper in the wind. Ryan Bettis will now book his golden ticket, but now it turns to everyone else. Have you got what it takes on Championship Tuesday to go and say, I am going to get this one done? A short week for all these drivers, just 6 days to figure out how to get the Red Bull Ring in sight and how to book their place into the Logitech G Pro Invitational.
You've always felt it, that spark, that pull. Watching the greats carve through history. Every turn, risk, reward. Now you don't just watch, you spread.
We are gaming fanatics. Our goal has never been to just play games. We think it's much better to feel like you're actually in.
Hi, my name's Melinda Price. In 2024, I'm racing in Radical Cup Australia with Volante Rosso. Very much old dog, new tricks kind of thing, trying to get jiggy with the technology here. The OG gear is fantastic. The socks are really, really comfortable, gives you enough movement on the pedal, but they still breathe really nicely. And the gloves are super comfortable. They breathe a little bit better than your racing gloves. Really love it.